Let me know if you can see and hear me okay. This is going to be a group energy healing where I heal 130 people in 13 different countries, and it will be fabulous. And it's May 2026. This is the triplet set of 3 healings, and this is the second one in the set of 3. It's Sunday, May 10th, 2026, which for many in the US is Mother's Day, although some prefer to opt out of that holiday, and I completely respect their right to opt out of any holiday they want. Let's see. That's my website, jwhealing.com. Obviously, if you want to purchase a set of healings, you can rock that out. Purchase a future set of healings. And the theme for this month of healings is, voila, social interactions, as in heal your social interactions, clear facades, confidence, and self-love. So that's pretty cool. And we will specifically be doing something today for clear facades. That's awesome. So today, what we're doing in a nutshell is you could group it into 3 parts. Well, 4 parts. Okay, 4 parts, we'll say. So one part is the 5 essentials: grounding, aura repair, chakra repair, creative ring repair, back of head stuff, which we always do. And lately I have not put it all right at the front of the healing. Sometimes I do a little bit of it and then I do the rest much later in the healing. So whatever, but that's one aspect of this healing, as usual, is the 5 essentials. They're important. They're essential. But then the other 3 aspects for today, the one I've already mentioned is clear facades. That's easy. That helps with social interactions, also probably with like boundaries with other people and energy level. So facades are like you hold up something. Like a facade is a fake wall in English, more or less. So spiritually, I've used that to represent basically that. Like it's like people hold up little banners or little walls, really, because they're pretty rigid, of what they want people to see them as, rather than just letting them see themselves, which is more like authenticity. You just say, well, here I am. This is it. This is me. This is what you get. But, you know, whatever. Some people, I mean, everybody at some point probably has even just a little part of them that's insecure. And that's probably what is the source of people making facades, where you just hold up this wall of like, really, I'm honest, or really, I'm successful, or really, I'm charming, or whatever. So, but anything rigid like that, it takes a lot of energy to maintain on a subconscious level. So they're great to get rid of. They don't make you safer. They just deplete your energy, and it gives off this air of fakeness, which, you know, really people don't want to seem fake. So the best way to not seem fake is to not be fake. And clearing facades is a really good way to do that. So that's the, oh, yeah. You know, am I incapable of giving a nutshell? Seriously? Oh, God. Okay, so that was just talking about clear facades. Which is one of the things we're doing today. But the, okay, so really, the nutshell for today, 4 sections, pretty much. 5 essentials is one of the concepts, one of the 4. Clear Facades is another. Another is 2 different things we'll do for sleep to help you sleep better, basically, and wake up better. Well, 3 things. And then the chunkiest thing will be clearing baggage in a couple different ways to help each aspect of the theme. And also courage and fearlessness. I just stuck that in because it's always great to clear fear whenever you're doing spiritual growth, because being bold and fearless really does help with getting over your garbage, nudging yourself forward. So the 4 ways we're going to clear baggage for all these aspects of the theme: social interaction, authenticity, because clear facades is basically like be more authentic. Okay, so authenticity. So social interaction, authenticity, self-love, confidence, and clearing fear, because that's always great to be fearless and courageous. Always helpful. So are we just going to clear baggage for all those things? Well, that would be easy, wouldn't it? But sometimes if you specify certain things, if like you clear in specific ways, it can be more effective and also pretty darn interesting. So the 4 ways we're going to clear all that kind of baggage is 1, baggage you took on from your mother in this lifetime. 2, baggage you took on from your father in this lifetime. And okay, if you had 2 dads or you feel you had 0 dads, you had 1 at least, a biological sperm donor. So you can count him as the dad. But if you had a couple dads for, various reasons, you can lump them all together for the purposes of this. So baggage you took on from your mom, baggage you took on from your dad, baggage you took on from your ancestors in this lifetime. So that means, your mom's side of the family and your dad's side of the family, like back, your paternal grandparents, your paternal great-great-grandparents, your paternal great-great-great-grandparents, and the same thing on your mother's side, So the baggage you took on from your ancestors in this lifetime, that's the 3rd way we're going to clear baggage. And then the 4th is baggage you brought in from your past lives. Like you in your last life, you still had it. You hadn't cleared it yet. So guess what? It comes with you. Which is why it's always great to clear energy. Like even if, you're 80 and you're like, Janet, why do I need to clear my sexuality? Like, seriously, I'm 80. It can really help your next life as well as this life, and your next life and your next life, to clear any kind of junk you're still carrying around to the extent that's healthy and gentle to do right now. Sometimes, by the way, in notes, when I write H and G, H, capital G, H and G, that's what I mean, healthy and gentle. My little short form. So anyway, so that's the chunkiest aspect. I'm going to try to make it not too mind-blowing, but I did think that could be interesting to look at all that stuff. So we'll see if we do it. Because, if I did each one bit by bit, like social interaction from mom, from dad, from ancestors, from past lives, on and on and on, like 5 times 4, that would be 20 different clearings, which are quick, but that might hurt my brain. So I'll figure out a simpler way to do it. Yeah, I think what I'll do is I'll group together social interaction, authenticity, and self-love. And then I'll group together confidence and fear together. So then it'll only be 8 different clearings that we're doing total for that chunk. So that's all. But I think it should be great. So let's see. Okay, so the last healing that we did 3 days ago on Thursday, it was pretty cool. I mean, the effects. For me, I slept like insanely well the next 2 nights. I mean, you know, my dog woke me up. You know, I have like dog responsibilities. Yeah. But aside from that, it was way better sleep than usual. So that was pretty interesting. And I think a couple people also had that result. It didn't carry over to like the end of last night and then wait till last night and the end of the middle night. I had, you know, energy boundary issues with my sleep, which actually is part of what inspired this whole all the stuff that we're going to do to help sleep today. But so I think that the meridian work that we did, probably especially the kidney meridian, is what helped my sleep and probably a bunch of other people's sleep. We did static messages. We melted static messages, which is kind of like crappy things you're holding up as messages to people that you've had conflicts with, that you're just subconsciously holding in place forever, unless you clear them. And it really pollutes your mind and your energy field and attracts negativity to you and potentially just stokes the conflict between you and that person on subconscious level. So clearing those, I think, also helped sleep, but not as much as the meridian work, probably. So it was interesting. But thank you for your surveys, your survey responses, guys. I appreciate that, the time you put into them. All right. So, anything else I want to talk about? Oh, yeah. Okay, so it's not super common, but it is probably sometimes the more effective a healing is, the more there will be a couple people that are like, oh my God, I was so exhausted the hours after the healing, or like the day after the healing. And other people are like, oh my God, I got so much done. It was insane. Or, oh, I felt so peaceful. It was great. You know, so what's different? The fatigue post healing, a lot of times it's because you're trying to release stuff more than usual. Maybe stuff that you really have hung on to for decades or maybe even lifetimes. And so 98% of you is like, yes, I'm finally ready to let it go. And the other 2% is like, no, 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 no. And so that little 2% of resistance can clog it in your grounding. So basically unblock your grounding. It's probably the most straightforward thing to do if post healing, meaning later that day or the next day, even the next day, you have a weirdly large amount of fatigue, consider that it's just block grounding. And the thing is, blocked grounding, if it's blocked long enough, then your chakras start to block up too. So you could like unblock your grounding and then just real quick, 7 through 1 along your spine, just melt all the blocks to the extent that's healthy and gentle to do right now. Other than that, I mean, you could do just the 5 essentials, that experienced version video. If you've heard all my explanations about how many auras you have and where the good karma windows are and stuff, and you just want to get to work. I really like that video. It's in my short video playlist, the experienced version. Did I link it? Nah, people can find it. But anyway, it's called Experienced Version 5 Essentials. And it's in the short video playlist, which is featured on my YouTube channel page. Or you could just search Janet Wright Experienced Version 5 Essentials. So anyway, clearing, unblocking your chakras. I mean, specifically your third chakra, but it could be seventh too, giving you fatigue. It depends. If you feel kind of top heavy, then maybe it's more your seventh chakra that's blocked. If it's just like all around, then maybe it's your third. But you can't go wrong by unblocking all of them when in doubt. I mean, sometimes you do need a nap, and your angels are trying to encourage you to take a nap by kind of almost forcing you to. But, if that's not possible, then just unblock your grounding and your chakras and see if that works. I think sometimes people it doesn't occur to them, like, they're just like, well, I'm just tired, which, yes, but why are you just tired? Are you just tired because your chakras blocked up because your grounding blocked up? Or you're just tired because you do too much? Finally, your spirit's like, okay, I need to rest today. So it could be either. But I just wanted to mention that because I think sometimes it doesn't occur to people, and it's a really simple thing to just unblock your grounding and your chakras just a little bit and see if that worked, if that fixed it. Is it sometimes backlash from relatives, so you're like whacked up and everything? It could be. Wax can make you tired, like, rips in your auras, because then your energy's leaking out and it's harder to stay present. But I think, it's nice to check the simplest cause first, I mean, or at least don't forget the simplest cause, which is blocked up grounding. Especially after a healing, because then you're really trying to release a lot, and yeah, so food for thought there. And you can even like, just make a note to yourself, because sometimes, if there's a point in people's involvement as a like a self-healer where what you need to do when you need it, but which isn't perfect, because then sometimes you still don't know, and then you're meditating for a little bit and you're like, oh, 3 of my chakras are smashed open. Oh, and it'd take you like 5 minutes of meditating to realize that. But but if you never realize what you need, then just write down unblock grounding every day. Like, just when in doubt, unblock your grounding every day. You really can't go wrong with that. So anyway, hope that makes sense. Oh, right. So I'm going to check the post-healing chat, pre-healing chat comments. Feel free to say hi, say where you're viewing from if you want. What the weather's like where you are. Oh, and I am in Olympia, Washington, and it is actually sunny at the moment. It's going in and out of sunny and cloudy today, but it's bright and maybe high 60s, which I'll take it. Nice. Someone says hi from Tokyo. Hey, oh, my country counts off then. Oh no, my country counts okay. Yeah. Hi from Tokyo, 73 degrees and sunny. Well, good. Happy travels. Someone says we can see and hear you. Thank you. Hi from Chicago, 65 and sunset. That is so, that's so wild. It's sunset for you. It's like very much still light out for us. But that's how the world works, Janet. You are approximately 2,000 miles away from me in Chicago and Olympia, Washington. Because I know, because when we road tripped out here to move in 2016, we recorded how many miles it was. It's roughly 2,000 miles. So I guess that makes sense. Okay. Hey, Janet, it's 67 degrees and a bit rainy in Washington, D.C. Well, hello to you, and thanks for all the cool maritime emojis there. Someone says, hey, Janet, I can see and hear you from sunny Las Vegas, 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Wow. How about that? All right. You guys are going to be so toasty this summer, I bet. I think we're going to have a hotter than usual summer here, which is good for my tomatoes, so I'll deal with it. So I can just, anything for the tomatoes. Tomato plants. Alrighty. Speaking of which, I got to get them in the ground. They're all ready and happy. Okay. So, I will be quick, but in case we have a newbie that wandered in, you are most welcome to watch, even if you don't know what energy healing is very much, or you've never done it, or you just have never met me before. My name is Janet Wright, and I'm an energy healer, teacher, and reader. And I'm about to do a group healing where I heal 130 people who purchase this set of healings in advance on my website. And you're welcome to purchase a future set of healings if you wish on my website. And the themes for May and June are awesome. May theme I already went over is social interactions, clear facades, confidence, and self-love, which is the same for the set, later this month. It won't be an identical set. We'll find new and creative and fascinating ways to work it there. And then next month in June is take action and decisiveness and identity and confidence. And I'm in love with that theme. That's really going to rock my world in a good way. So there's that. So I heal, during this live stream, I'm healing the people that purchase the healing, and you can heal yourself as you watch if you want. Because I say out, except for like the first 2 minutes or so of my healing, I will say out loud what I'm doing as I do it. So it's like an all levels walkthrough. If you're an adventurous newbie or even an advanced pro healer, there should be some fun, interesting stuff for you to do as a self-healer if you want while you listen. Of course, the people I'm healing, they don't have to heal themselves at the same time, but many do enjoy that. You can sleep during the healing. You can do whatever you want. Work, listen, don't listen. Because later it will be saved as a video, and within a day, there will be video chapters and a healing outline in the comment section. Within a day to a day and a half. All right, good enough. Alrighty, yeah. Ooh, I got one more hello. Hello from Ottawa, Canada. 47 degrees Fahrenheit, I would think. Degrees, sunny, and birds are nesting and singing. Yeah, that must be Fahrenheit. That's pretty chilly. Is it always that chilly right at this time of year? All right. Now I will finally be quiet. Okay, thank you for waiting. So what I'm going to do now is we'll unblock grounding, recreate an unblock grounding, which is your connection to the core of the earth. But also I noticed that people just have so much pressure, like pushing in on their auras, kind of making things just too hard. So with energy, you can't, like fix the chaos on the planet. Typically. You can have less internal chaos, which hopefully will inspire those around you to a certain degree. But so when I say relieving external pressure, there might be a better way to word that I'm not thinking of at the moment, but what I mean is literally the pressing in, so there could be, 10 people and, 3 dozen invasive beings trying to press in on you, but the pressure that you feel is somewhat within your control. I mean, of course you can have the invasive beings recycled, which is very good to do, but the 10 people that are pressing against your aura to some degree, getting them to stop isn't really worth pursuing most of the time. But if you can, you can kind of work your own energy so that you're so flowing that it just kind of bounces off you and you don't feel it as a weight all around you pushing in. So that's what I mean. You're relieving the external pressure. You're not changing people around you. So anyway, that's what we're going to do. It'll be awesome. And I don't know exactly all that will be involved in that. It could be a couple of the 5 essentials will be done right now as well, just to accomplish that. We'll see. We'll see. So, what am I doing? Okay. So, you can just imagine all your auras and your physical body and your astral body are inside of all your auras. And then you have 2 groundings down to the core of the earth. You can just recreate those. I mean, you could keep them and just make sure that you widen them out if needed, so there's wide as all your auras. But destroying them and making new ones is possibly easier. But either way, so you just recreate new groundings, make them both as wide as all your auras. So pretty much if you just, that wide on both sides. If you have nice full auras, they're probably up to that wide. So then you just make grounding that goes up high as your 3rd chakra. Beneath your sternum right there, that's your 3rd chakra roughly. So make your grounding go up that high and that wide all around you. Right? And you have a copy out in front of you and use gold light from your hands. Set your hand and fingertip chakras to gold with your intention or your thought. Set them to gold so they generate gold light. And use that gold to melt blocks in your grounding. Indie grounding is you use gold light around the outer surface of your grounding, all the way down on the sides of your grounding, to wash everybody out, wash their connections into your grounding, wash out hard objects that got stuck there. You can find a log jam or a traffic jam, sometimes there's like one block that then, it's not moving. And so then everything else backs up. So find your log jam blocks, in your grounding, the ones that are most holding up all the releasing, and just surround them in gold light, saturate them in gold light. Say, angels, can you recycle any invasive beings that are hooked into or cording these blocks? Breath while your angels do that, and then you melt cords from any people, out of these blocks. And then melt the blocks. And see if you can feel like sort of a, the traffic jam relieving and like more energy releasing than it did a minute ago. Again, find some log jam or traffic jam blocks in your grounding. Ground them in gold light. Say, angels, can you recycle any invasive beings hoarding these blocks? And then you melt away cords from people going into these blocks and melt the blocks. And see if you can feel within your body, within you as a spirit, all your chakras, all your meridians, etc., just the releasing. Just, you can even talk yourself into it. Say, I'm ready to let go. There's things it's time for me to release this stuff. And just deep breath. You could imagine like your hands, as like a metaphorical representation of things that you've been hanging on to that really aren't good to keep hanging on to, and just imagine like you're letting go right there. Just so this is some unhealthy stuff I've been holding on to, and I'm gonna let go of it. Deep breath. Right. And your chakras along your major chakras along your spine, 7 in the top of your head, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 at the base of your spine. Use gold light, unblock those. You can have a hardness around the outside of your auras, especially like the top half of your auras, because a lot of times the pressure comes from above or upper back or upper sides. So just check for any sort of hard shell around the outer surface of your auras. And they could be generated by some blocks right at the very top. So you can just keep melting some energy blocks right at the top of all your auras. And just check that shell, see if you can melt it fully. Keep unblocking. Gold light. And a lot of times it's like your own resistance to like, all the madness in the world, like wars and stuff, corruption, wars, people harming other people. Sometimes you might get tired of all that, of knowing about it, of worrying about it, of wishing you could change it and trying to change it and just wishing it would stop. So just wash out any resistance that you have especially at the edges of your auras. Wash out any fatigue. You can do that through all your chakras along your spine, your major chakras along your spine. Wash out your fatigue. You have fatigue about global events and human weaknesses like corruption and sadism and all that junk. Again, if you've been hanging on to something that's really unhealthy and you're ready to let go of it, and it would be healthy and gentle to let go of, you can imagine, like you're holding onto it with your hands and just let it go all the way down to the core of the earth. You can make a big gold blanket out in front of you, put onto it any baggage that causes you to resist, and just like kind of try to push out the world in a way that doesn't work at all. and So put all your resistance baggage out in front of you on a gold blanket. The angels, is it healthy and gentle to clear all this right now? And then angels, can you recycle any invasive beings that are hooked into these energy blocks? And then wash people out, wash their cords out of these blocks, wash your own energy out. And go ahead, keep using gold light until the blocks melt, or you can blow them up. And I've been talking about resistance and how resistance can make you, rigid. And then when, external forces kind of press up against you and you're so rigid, then it really, you feel the pressure and it makes a big effect. So, one way to clear resistance is to imagine the mini yous, little versions of you that are the most resistant, that are still healthy and gentle to clear, to heal, and then give them a healing. So like, for me, since my name is Janet, I would look for little mini Janets, little mini parts of me that are the most resistant, like ma, 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 or whatever, however I'm doing with my resistance, just little mini yous that are the most resistant. And just be nice to them. Just use gold light. You don't have to think too hard about it. Just imagine these parts of you that are the most resistant. And it could be completely subconscious. You didn't even realize. And just use gold light. You can bring up red earth energy and orange earth energy and yellow earth energy and just heal these parts of you. You can be comforting. It's okay. You deserve a healing. And the thing is, sometimes you match what you resist. Like somebody said in their survey, I think my mother and my sister were screaming at me and it made me on edge. I think that if that person had not had any chakra damage and they had been very flowing and non-resistant, they would have just had natural sound boundaries with it, and it would have been just like a slight awareness, but not really anything to negatively affect their mood. But I think sometimes your own parts of you that are screaming and then someone's screaming at you and it just collides in a bad way. So with the chaos in the world and everything, what you can do is imagine the most inner chaotic parts of you, so little mini yous that are, little hot mess parts of you, or little furious parts of you, or little, grief parts of you, whatever part of you that most needs the healing, right? And just imagine these little mini parts of you that are healthy and gentle to heal. And just use lots of gold light. Be comforting. Hey, it's okay. It's all right. You deserve a healing. Okay. Okay, you deserve a healing. You can bring up red earth energy straight from the core of the earth. Soak these parts of you that most need a healing, maybe because they're the most upset or the most grieving or the most angry or the most hot messy. You like that term. And just be nice to these parts of you. And you can say, angels, can you help me heal these parts of me? And once they're fully healed, then they just dissolve and you get your energy back. And so it's no longer a separate part of you that is freaking out. It's just regular energy of yours. So if you have a few left over that aren't yet finished healing, just wrap them up in gold light, give them to your angels, say, angels, can you help me with these parts of me? So sometimes external pressure is invasive beings. And like I said, that's nice to get them recycled. So, and you don't have to be spooked by invasive beings, that like the concept or the reality of that, because you, in comparison, are much larger than most invasive beings in all of existence. Because if they were so powerful, they would go and get a life, and you know, most of them. So, but you can imagine them, and sometimes, you know, you can imagine them like they look like a fog, or they look like, you know, like a breast implant, like the silicone, like mushy, like a jellyfish kind of. Or sometimes they look like tornadoes, spinny tornadoes. So you can just imagine like a mini version of yourself and look for tornadoes around you. Because a tornado, like some of those, they can like drill themselves into your auras, you know. So look for any tornadoes that are trying to drill themselves into you around your auras, and just say, angels, can you recycle all these invasive beings? And then just do a little bit of aura healing. You can say, angels, you know, send the gold light into all the little valleys and rips and gashes in your auras. The angels, can you recycle any invasive beings in the way of this repair? Send the gold light there. You may have to ask again, angels, can you recycle any invasive beings in the way of this repair? So that those rips grow back, your auras grow back, and the rips go away. Sometimes you can have people, invasive people or invasive beings, on your spiritual path. And that's another way in which you can feel it pretty intensely, the energy that's coming at you. So you can have rips in your auras, and they're just directly, you know, throwing energy at you into the ripped areas, making the ripped areas more and more and more and whatever. But you can have your auras whole, but then they found their way onto your spiritual path, and then they can like send, you know, like fire hoses of energy at you from your spiritual path. So that's easy to work. It's just sometimes it might not occur to you, you know, that's one potential source of overwhelming energy. So you can just imagine the part of you that's on your spiritual path. And your spiritual path is, you know, it's a road that's just for you. It represents what you're meant to do in this lifetime, what you're meant to learn and experience. But there can be unnecessary dramas on there, you know, if the path gets invaded really by people or invasive beings. So just imagine your road, you know, your path, right? And you're on it. Hopefully, if you're not on it, if you're lost, then just say, angels, can you bring me back onto my spiritual path? All right, so then assuming now you're on your spiritual path, you're looking forward on your spiritual path, just use a lot of gold light and get a sense of what's ahead of you on your spiritual path. Melt away the walls, the unhealthy obstacles that are on your path ahead of you. Because there are challenges that you're meant to have, but a lot of them are just stupid dramas that you could clear and it would be fine. And smart. So just melt any of those, the unnecessary, unhealthy dramas ahead of you on your path. That, you know, to the extent that's healthy and gentle to do right now. And then look for those, you know, the tornadoes, you know, the sort of the violent, invasive beings that are throwing stuff at you on your path, if there are any. So are there any tornadoes on your path? And if so, just say, angels, can you recycle these invasive beings? And again, think of yourself on your spiritual path, because you're not supposed to have like as if like, like a strong wind blowing at you. It's not supposed to be that way. It's supposed to be like, ideally just nice, easy weather to walk forward on your path. So if it feels like you're walking into like a tornado or, or some kind of a wind tunnel where it's like, and your face is getting blown back, that doesn't have to be that way. So just look for the invasive beings ahead of you on your path that are making your path seem like a windstorm or some kind of a violent weather event. And just say, angels, can you recycle those invasive beings? No violent weather events. You don't need that. And then there ideally is a gold flowy force field around your spiritual path, and if not, you can recreate it. Just lots of gold light, just run that around your spiritual path. Gold light from your hands around you, behind you on your path, in front of you on your path, so that it's more difficult for these invasive energies to just hop on your path and start nailing you with energy. You don't want to make that too easy for them. So just get a sense of, the internal, like the external pressure on you, and see if it has relieved itself at all. So I think that's good enough for now. So let's move on. Okay, thanks for waiting. So, this theme that we're doing this month is about your relations with other people, but a lot of times it's also about self-love, because how you relate to all the different aspects of yourself makes a big difference as to how you react to other people and how those people react to you. So, for example, if you have parts of you that you judge and you reject these parts of you and you're in denial, like, oh, that's not me. I'm not petty like that. I'm not angry like that. I have no anger. Anger is a lowly emotion for people who are not spiritual. It affects your ability to relate to other people because you're rejecting parts of yourself. So then you're not going to be accepting of every part of everybody else. Accepting meaning able to acknowledge, comfortable around other people. And how I was noticing this actually is that I was looking at, we were about to do aura repair. And there are sometimes when you do aura repair, even if you do it well, you know, when you're doing the repair all the rips at the same time technique, there are some chronic areas that are damaged that stay damaged. Not always, but it's possible. And why is that? You know, it could be like, I'm looking at one client and generally her heart and pericardium auras have rips in them, like in the front left, that stay there, even when we do aura repair really thoroughly. And why is that? Well, because it relates to parts of herself that she's rejecting and she's walled off and she's like, that's not me. And so if you can't own it, you can't heal it. I should maybe write that out. Something to that effect. Let's see. Yeah. So you want to be able to own all the parts of you. You know, the part of you that hates working out, the part of you that hates meditating, the part of you that hates your sister, the part of you that, you know, is scared of growing old, the part of you, you know, these parts that are not glamorous, that are not something you would be particularly proud of. You know, if those parts of you need healing, probably more than the parts of you that you're proud of. But if you're busy disowning them, you're not going to be healing them. And likewise, you know, like I said, if you have these kind of divisions within yourself, it triggers other people when they interact with you and their own self-rejections. So in other words, the more comfortable you are with yourself, most of the time, other people are more comfortable around you. Except if there's just somebody who's just so gosh darn repressed, then that might trigger them. But in the meantime, you're happier and a lot of people are more comfortable around you. So it's mostly a win-win. And you have better boundaries with everybody because you have better flow. Because healing and self-acceptance is very flowing, as opposed to, you know, rejecting and putting up walls and saying that's not me, you know, and being in denial is very rigid, so it weakens your boundaries. I hope that makes sense. Own it so you can heal it. How about that? If I was making mugs, maybe I would print that on the mug. Oh, that's funny. So, so go ahead and let's just do blanket exercise for that. When in doubt. So make a big old blanket out in front of you and put on it all the baggage that causes you to reject yourself. to reject parts of you, reject certain emotions of yours, reject your age, reject certain weaknesses that you have, reject certain tendencies, certain habits that are bad that you have, whatever. Certain things you feel are character flaws, any baggage that causes you to reject those parts of you or judge those parts of you. And then say, angels, is it healthy and gentle to clear all this right now? And then angels, can you recycle any invasive beings that are hooked into this stuff? And then rest you can do pretty easily. Just use gold light from your hands and melt away cords going into this self-rejection baggage, self-acceptance baggage. And then just keep using gold light and melt all the baggage. And if it's not melting as well as you would like, just say, angels, can you help me melt this away? All right. So the whole own it so you can heal it thing. So presumably now that we've cleared some of this rejection and denial baggage that you have, there are parts of you that you can heal now that you couldn't heal before. So go ahead and imagine out in front of you the little mini yous that you can heal now that before it would have not worked to heal them. And just imagine these parts of you that you can heal now. And you can double check, angels, is it healthy and gentle to heal these parts of me? And then angels, if there are any invasive beings making drama and making it hard for me to heal these parts of me, can you recycle them? And then go ahead, just use gold light and be comforting and just say, hey, it's okay. You need a healing. You deserve a healing. And just use gold light and wash these parts of you out with gold light. You can bring up red earth energy, orange earth energy, yellow earth energy. Give them a little earth energy soak. You can say, angels, can you help me heal these parts of me? And as these parts of you get healed, they dissolve and you'll get back the energy. So it'll no longer be a separate part of you that feels terrible that you're rejecting. It'll just be a nice flowing part of your energy. All right, good job, good job, good job. All right, so let's try aura repair now. See if it's more effective than it was before. So we'll do it the same old way we usually do in the group healings, which is you make a composite copy, make an image of a rip and say with your intention, okay, this represents all the rips that I currently have in all my auras. And then we'll just do the regular way, sticky gold wax. So fill it up with sticky gold wax, which is gold light that sticks to everything that's not you and forms a lump. And then you can lift all that out at once. Give it to your angels. Angels, here you go. Sticky gold wax. Have it stick to everything not you. So that would be hard objects, invasive people, invasive beings. Lift it out as a chunk of junk. Angels, here you go. And use gold light. Get it as deep as you can into this composite copy rip so that it starts to repair. You could say, angels, if there are any invasive beings still in the way of this repair, can you recycle them? And you might have some invasive beings that are sort of half in, half out because you just did so much aura repair. You're such a rock star. So you just say, angels, if there are any invasive beings that are half in, half out, can you recycle them? You can make a nice red grounding going up to the base of your skull. from the core of the earth. Help you release energy. All right, good enough. So you can double check. Did clearing the self-rejection baggage and healing those parts of you that you had been rejecting, did that just make your aura repair process more effective than usual? All righty. I'm going to jumble up the order. We'll do the back of head stuff right now. So that would be base of skull points and good karma windows. Good karma windows, GKW. Okay. So somebody said in their survey that they're very resistant to doing all the work back here, but they do it anyway, but they kind of force themselves to do it. That is interesting and significant, I would say. Good for them that they still force themselves to do it anyway. But yeah, you can look and see, is that a specific person that's somewhat in your space affecting your thoughts that is not wanting to get booted out of that area? Or is it just a couple invasive beings that are impacting your thoughts and your feelings and causing you to be very resistant to working that area? Because this area is very effective for getting to be way more present. So if you really feel like, oh, I really don't want to work this area, it's probably not you. It's probably something within your space not wanting to lose its comfy spot back there. So all the more reason, let's do it. So so that was just explaining, if you resist healing the back of your head area, what that probably is. Okay, so now let's just do it. So base of skull points. Here we go. So the midline one is governing vessel, GV, meridian. You don't need to know the names. You don't need to know the direction of flow. Just need to know that you use gold light, and that the natural color, the ideal color for these meridians would be a red. And you just use gold light and red earth energy, if you want to bring that up, to repair and unblock. And you pop out any hard objects that are stuck in these energy centers. And the dots on that chart, the diagram, the dots are all chakras, acupuncture points, which are minor chakras, just because they're not the major seven. Anyway. So ideally, it's like a red flowy tube with these red little chakras inside, keeping the energy flowing nicely. So just unblock the chakras, unblock the tube. You want it to be nice and expanded and red and flowy, as opposed to compressed and blocked up and leaky. You don't want. So the angels drew my attention to somebody's comment, which is very useful, and I can answer it right now. Some comments I wait till the end of the live stream, but feel free to post them now. But this one works in well. So when I say the term invasive being, what I mean is a little spirit that doesn't have a body. It's not a human being. When I want to say invasive people, I say invasive people. So invasive being just means some little like spiritual dust bunny thing, you know, it's like just an entity. Yeah. So they're saying, how do we know the difference between an invasive being that's someone you know physically or a spirit? Yeah. So I mean a spirit. And so like, say if your mom is in this region versus a couple invasive beings, you could just intuit which one it is. Obviously, you can always ask your angels to recycle this invasive being, and if it's really just your mom, they're not going to recycle your mom, of course. you know, they'll just escort her out. So when in doubt, you know, you could assume it's an invasive being, but you can use your intuition, you know, is this a person or a being? Also, a lot of times a being has a different quality to it, like mushy and weird or smoky or foggy. Sometimes beings, you know, they try to look really big and imposing, you know, to try to intimidate you. So if it looks some sort of weirdness to it, you know, smoky, bright, you know, stuff like that. Because beings try to, you know, intimidate you. And so they're acting all weird. Whereas, you know, if your sister's in your space, she's probably just like, what? You're a bitch, you know? So people are probably a little more straightforward when they're in your space. What? You didn't call mom. You're such a bitch. Not that anyone's saying that to me today. So hope that answers your question. If not, you can post a follow-up and I'll read it later. like invasive beings can be up to all sorts of mischief. Basically, their point usually is to keep you uncentered, so that you're like half in, half out, so that there's more. It's easier for them to kind of tap off your energy, you know, kind of siphon it off. But so they might hype up your fears, they might hype up some eating disorder habits, they might, you know, hype up addiction or laziness or self-loathing thoughts or something, you know. They're very mischievous, so it's good to just get them recycled. Your angels. So the GV one in the midline, the base of skull points for that, the two that are clustered together, that's GV 15 and 16, and then it's 17. So 15, 16, 17, those are in those two rows, you know, in the midline right there. Not that you need to know numbers, but I don't know. I just kind of like knowing those particular ones. Because 20, GV 20 is in the top of your head. That's a really good one. Unblock. It's like very calming if you block GV. You can make like a giant version of a chakra, you know, these little acupuncture points, like GV20 would be oriented this way, but in your head, in the top of your head, because it's, you know, part of that GV meridian, right? So it would be like much smaller, of course, and inside. But you can imagine a big copy of it and unblock, because sometimes it's easier to see the blocks if it's like this giant expanded version, you know? So just look at the blocks in front of your GV20 and get those blocks and surround them in gold light and just say, angels, can you recycle any invasive beings that are courting these blocks? And then just keep using more gold light and melt away. And then the yellow one, the yellow lines in that diagram, that's UB, urinary bladder meridian, which starts in the inner corner of the eye, goes up and over, and then divides from 2 branches into 4 branches and goes down your back and down and ends in your little baby toe. So you can just feel those points that are right in the base of your skull. And for a lot of people, these are really tight. The urinary bladder meridian part as it goes through the back of the head. Sometimes that means you have too many blocks in that particular aura, because each of these meridians has its own aura, one of the Wei Qi auras. So you can find the blocks in the back of that yellow line meridian, the urinary bladder meridian, find the energy blocks behind there and just surround them in gold light, The angels, can you recycle any invasive beings hooked into these blocks? Keep using gold light. And melt people out of the blocks and melt the blocks. And usually that takes a lot of pressure off, and then the meridian becomes more like flowy and expanded. You might have to do it a couple times though, because it might be really, really blocked back there. And then one out from that is that blue-green line. That's GB, gallbladder meridian, which is very cool. It starts in the corner of the eye, and then it does all sorts of cool zigzaggies in the side of your head, and then goes back through the back of the base of skull area like it shows right there, and then it goes and zigzags down your body. But we'll just do that one little area right there. We'll probably work that to some extent in next month's healings, because gallbladder meridian helps with decisiveness, and that's part of the theme next month in June healings. And again, comb through all your auras, all 17 of your auras directly, like comb through the base of your skull and all those auras, and just drag out whatever energy blocks are healthy and gentle to get rid of. Right now in those auras, right directly behind your head and neck, and just surround them in so much gold light. Say, angels, can you recycle any invasive beings cording these blocks? And keep using gold light, melt cords from people, and melt the blocks. And see if that does release pressure in the back of your head, back of your skull. And also for releasing pressure back there, good karma windows, GKW. Those it will just show me again. So back here, so this is AccuDoll, but if this were you, your good karma windows are back here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's one in each layer of your astral body aura. Your astral body aura has 7 layers. They wrap around you like layers of an onion. And back here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 are the good karma windows. And they're just like little back doors into your space that hopefully are just for you because you've repaired and unblocked them. And you just bring in some of your positive change energy that way. They look like this. That's the basic shape. A triple frame is the way I call it. But technically, I think it's called 3 concentric squares. Like that. But just use lots of gold light and repair, because the frame can be cracked and broken. So just use gold light and repair each one if it's needed with gold light from your hands. Sometimes if you can't sleep, this is part of the problem. You might have damage back here, so there's just too much invasive energy coming through here. Invasive energy meaning both, and people and or invasive beings. So just go ahead and repair these good karma windows. And if doing all 7 separately blows your mind, you can do a composite copy of all 7 just as one triple frame window that represents all 7, and just use gold light for that. And then that the window pane part should be flowy energy, just your energy there. So just go ahead and melt away any hard objects stuck in there. You say, angels, if there are any invasive beings messing with my good karma windows, can you recycle them? And again, this could be popping some invasive beings like half in, half out of your back of your head area. Just say, angels, if there are any invasive beings half in, half out, can you recycle them? And then you could have some lurkers, I call, which is just invasive beings that popped out because of the work you're doing, but they're hanging around because they want to come back later and mess with you when you're in a bad mood already or something. So just say, angels, can you recycle any of the lurker beings? Any invasive beings that are just waiting to make trouble later. Alrighty. And I usually like to do a test with my good karma windows to see if gold light can come all the way through without getting distorted to a different color. Gold light representing some of the positive change energy that you might be trying to bring in through there. And sometimes, you know, if things are too blocked up, then it can only go through some of the windows, not all of them. And if it's your new positive change energy, you want to be able to bring it in through all the windows. So just have like a little ball of gold light representing your positive change energy and see if it can pass through the 7th window and still be gold. Can it pass through the 6th window and still be gold? On and on and on and on. And if at some point it turns to black or blue or any other color, just unblock more those areas so that it can stay gold all the way. All right. Good job, good job, good job. And related to that, let's do facet joints and disc joints. Just because we can. So just the basics, you know, so the facet joints, even though it's spelled F-A-C-E-T, it's pronounced facet. And so that is that right there. My camera's in reverse, so it's always blowing my mind to point to something. But that right there is a greatly enlarged image of your 2 of your vertebrae. And so the light blue areas, that's where the facet joints are. And then just in front of there, the light blue area that you can only barely see, that's a disc joint. That like, it looks like the middle of an Oreo maybe, you know, like the cookie filling, you know. Those are the disc joints. So you can just go up and down your spine, imagine your whole spine, and run gold light and red earth energy through all your disc joints. And same thing with all your facet joints. And generally, I like to work one side of the facet joints at a time, but you don't have to. You could do them both at once, but I feel like I can focus better if I'm only doing one side at a time. Because you want to notice, like, okay, is it leaking? Is it blocked? And if so, just spend more time there and just say, hey, angels, can you recycle any invasive beings in the way of this repair? And then just heal it until it's not leaking energy anymore. If you're like, Janet, I have no idea if it's leaking energy. Are you kidding me? You could just play different visual tricks. Like you could say, okay, you know, I'm going to like throw some clairvoyant dust on my spine, you know, which is energy, but make it like hot pink. And the hot pink is only going to cling to the leaky places, you know, and so then you throw the hot pink on your spine and see where the leaks are. You know, kind of like they used to have that some like tablets that you chew where it shows you where the leftover plaque is on your teeth. You can do that with energy stuff. Just so you know, fluorescent green or fluorescent blue, whatever color you like, and just have it cling to the leaky parts. So then you're like, oh wow, okay, there's a leaky part. And then when you find a leaky part, just angels, can you recycle any invasive beings in the way of this repair? And just keep using gold light until less and less leaky. It doesn't leak at all. And for one of my clients who did a road trip without taking enough rest breaks to stretch, let's do hip joints and sacroiliac joints. That's one of my favorite places now to work is the sacroiliac joints. So I actually do have a model. I guess I'll get it real quick. I'll be right back. So, okay, this is a supposedly life-size version of a pelvis, but maybe it's a man's pelvis because mine is way bigger than this. So I don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was a man's pelvis. Or a very petite woman. But anyway, so this part is the sacroiliac, is the sacrum right here. Which, fun fact, when you're really young, the sacrum is not fused together yet, and it's separate little vertebrae bone. But then at some age, I forget which age, they all fuse together. So then it's just the sacrum. But anyway, so in here is the sacroiliac joint, which is funny because you would think, well, that doesn't move much, but it doesn't move much. But I guess there is some movement possible. And I know for a fact because I've gotten my sacroiliac joint out of place, which is very uncomfortable. And then I had to go to a chiropractor, get it fixed. But anyway, so we can heal and unblock this area right here, and also here where the leg bone, the round part of the leg bone comes in. Is your hip joint. So we'll do some repair and unblocking and repairing leaks of your hip joints and your sacroiliac joint. And you can bring up red earth energy too. And you can heal your sacrum bone. The bones too can hold energy that's not yours and not, natural to your body, like other people's anger or your own fear baggage or something. So it's nice to heal your bones, especially ones as foundational as this, the ilium bones, and then these big things. These are ilium bones right here. So 2 ilium bones make up your pelvis. Well, maybe your sacrum too makes up your pelvis, but anyway, you get the point. So just wash out anything that doesn't belong in your bones in this area. And think of those joints, and if you need to, throw some leak dust on them so you can see the leaks, if there are any leaks in like fluorescent color, and just use lots of gold light. You don't have to, but just use lots of gold light. And just say, angels, if there are any invasive beings in this area, can you recycle them? Your sacrum bone. I guess sacrum bone is redundant, but I always tend to do that. I just say that. Someone corrected me one time in the comments. So your spine, all those vertebrae, and then down to your sacrum. Breathe and just see if you can feel the energy flowing more than before in your hip bones and your spine, your thigh bone. Deep breath. All right. Good job. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we'll work creative rings and manifestation rings at the same time, which sometimes I abbreviate to CR and MW, especially in video titles where I only have so many letters. Those are common abbreviations I'll use, CR for creative rings and MW for manifestation rings. So this is a graphic that looks somewhat like a manifestation wing, like both of your manifestation wings. They look like big gold angel wings when they are working properly. So you can just imagine them behind you. They attach and get energy from around here in your astral body aura, in your astral body. And then they can be quite large. And they generate lots of gold light, just like your creative rings, but even more. You can just use gold light and melt away anything that's not you, that's around your manifestation wings. Sometimes you can have like part of your wing missing because someone just threw energy at you and it just kind of shattered. So you can recreate any part of your manifestation wings that are missing just with gold light and just let it grow back. And that area right around here where you get starter energy into your manifestation wings, that could be a little too blocked, so you're not getting enough starter energy. So just use gold light and surround and melt those energy blocks. Another one that's fun to do at the same time is the right there, the urinary bladder meridian, part of it that goes through the back, because we're doing the manifestation wings, which are right there too. So it's kind of cool to do both at the same time. Again, do meaning just gold light, melt away the blocks, and comb through your auras and surround any blocks in gold light, and say, angels, can you recycle any invasive beings hooked into these blocks and melt people out of the blocks so that you can fully melt these blocks. And creative rings there on the top of your, they're in the top of your head, 1, 2, 3, 3 gold rings, and you can have a copy out in front of you of those 3 gold rings and check to see if the flaps are open or not. You want the flaps shut, but if they are open in an irritated, open is an irritated state, and that's how they look when they stick open, those flaps. As a top-down view, that's how it would look. So you don't want that. You just want it to be a smooth outer surface with nothing sticking out. So just keep melting cords going into these rings so that the flaps can relax and fall shut. And the cords could be from people or invasive beings. And if they're invasive beings, just ask your angels. Angels, can you recycle any invasive beings hooked into my creative rings? And typically, in all these areas, there'll be both. Some invasive people and some invasive beings. And you can, since this is just a copy, you can spread out the 3 rings and have them separate and heal both sides of them, of each ring, each of the 3 rings. And you can even flip over the copies so you can see more clearly the underside of each ring and make sure you're melting away any scratches or weird energy that's not you. The natural color of your creative rings is gold. You can say, angels, if there are any invasive beings attached to my creative rings, can you recycle them? And then you can put those copies back so it's more like how it really looks, that the 3 rings, one on top of each other with space in between. And again, check the flaps and melt cords. The flaps can relax and fall shut. All right. Good job. Good job. So then, last but not least at all, so we'll do chakra repair and unblocking for all your chakras at the same time. So this is the basic chakra shape. It's an open cylinder, equally open on both ends. Why? So that you can release better. And just imagine a copy of, you know, of a representative chakra and have it represent all your major and minor chakras of your body and your spirit. So all your chakras, right? And just lots of gold light. And lots of gold light. Melt away cords. So the chakras have flaps around the round openings too. And so the more you melt the cords and unblock and repair, then the flaps fall shut. So it's a nice smooth round opening. So then just your energy comes in and out of both ends, but it's harder for people to put thick pairs of cords into your chakras if the flaps are shut. And you can do like a tricolor soak for your chakras using this composite copy. So bring up red earth energy, soak it. The red earth energy, bring that down, bring up orange earth energy, soak it, bring that down, bring up yellow earth energy, soak it. And we could work the theme this way with the composite copy chakra. So just lift out any baggage in the way of your, it kind of deteriorates the quality of your social interactions. Just lift out that social interactions baggage and melt it away. Lift out, we'll do that again. Lift out any baggage that, you know, makes you less socially skilled. Lift out any baggage that subconsciously makes you push people away in a way that's not in your best interest. Lift that out and melt it away. Lift out any baggage that causes you to lack authenticity. Lift that out and melt it away. Lift that out, melt it away. Lift out any baggage that erodes your confidence. Lift that out, melt it away. Lift out your confidence baggage, melt it away. And any self-love baggage, so anything that causes you to, you know, have less self-care, less self-nurturing, be less compassionate with yourself, lift out that baggage and melt it away. Lift out your self-love baggage, melt it away. Again, melt cords from people, melt cords from invasive beings. All right. Good enough. Righty. I'm going to take a second and see if I can make some notes about what the heck we've done. Hmm. Okay, thanks for letting me catch up there. All right. So we did the 5 essentials. Plus a bunch of other stuff just now. So now we can move on. Okay. So, we're going to do this essentially in 2 parts. Because it could have been 20 different parts and that would have driven me crazy. So we'll do it in 2 parts. And I described this one in the beginning, in the nutshell, sort of nutshell, as this is like the biggest, most substantial part of the healing, what we're about to do. So basically, we're going to clear baggage in the way of the themes. And I'm dividing the themes up into 2. So right now, what we're about to do is anything affecting your social interactions, your authenticity, and your self-love. And we're going to clear baggage that you took on from your mom in this life, from your dad in this life, from ancestors in this life, like, your dad's great-grandparents and all that, and your mom's great-grandparents and blah, blah, blah. So all the family tree of this life, even people that are no longer alive, a lot of times they hand down baggage to their kids, and then that baggage gets handed down, that they get handed down. So when you get born into a sort of a line of people, there's like burdens that you take on that's really just their baggage, not yours. And it's not accidental, usually it's because you need to learn to overcome all that, whatever it is. I mean, that's, oversimplification, but that's the idea. So we're going to clear baggage from all those things, from your mom, your dad, your ancestors, and your past lives. Yeah, let's do it. So, doing. All right, so I'm going to use like buckets. But you can use gold blankets, dumpsters, whatever you want, gold dumpsters, or just piles. But you can have bucket for baggage from your mom that you took on, baggage from your dad that you took on, baggage from your ancestors in this life, and genetic ancestors from this life, and baggage from your past lives that you've brought into this life. Any baggage affecting you with social relationships, or your authenticity with others, and your self-love. So how much of that kind of baggage did you take on from your mom? How much of that kind of baggage did you take on from your dad? And how much of that kind of baggage did you take on from your ancestors, genetic ancestors in this life? And how much of that kind of baggage did you bring forward into this life from your past lives? And it might just be kind of interesting to see where the biggest pile is. Because a lot of times it's like there's a clear winner. Like, wow, I got the most from my dad. Or wow, I brought the most in from my past lives. So it's optional, but it's interesting sometimes to notice that. Okay, and then we're just going to clear it all. So you can say, angels, can you recycle any invasive beings hooked into any of this baggage? And angels, is it healthy and gentle to clear all this right now? And we're going to do one more thing too, is we're going to clear any unhealthy agreements that are in the way of you clearing this stuff. So you can imagine those agreements like a stack of papers if you want, or however you want to imagine the agreements, and just use lots of cold light. So these are just unhealthy agreements that you may have that are keeping you hanging on to these burdens when it's not healthy for you to keep doing that. A lot of times, you were supposed to come in with it and get it in the life, but then, you overcome it. That's the whole point. So anyway, you can clear any unhealthy agreements that are in the way of you making progress with these issues. And if you're having trouble with that, just say, angels, can you help me with these agreements? And then go ahead and you can melt the piles or blow them up. Wash everybody out of them. Wash yourself out of them. So the pile from your mom that affects your social stuff, authenticity and self-love, melt that away. Melt cords from her and everybody else from the baggage. Melt that baggage. And from your dad in this life, or your dad's, whatever, even if he was just a sperm donor, whatever, any baggage that you took on from your dad in this life, affecting your social relationships, your authenticity, your self-love. Melt that baggage away. Melt any cords from anybody going into the baggage. Melt the baggage fully. And then any baggage from your ancestors in this life, genetic ancestors in this life, melt any baggage from them that affects your social relationships with other people, in other words, your authenticity and your self-love. Notice that baggage and melt it away. Deep breath. And then your self-love baggage, any baggage that affects your self-love. Notice that. I guess we already did it, but let's do it one more time, just in case. So you got a bucket for your mom, bucket for your dad, bucket for ancestors, bucket for past lives, baggage, and anything, any baggage affecting any of this, social, authenticity, or self-love. And angels, is it healthy and gentle to clear all this right now? And you could clear it all at once if you want. So I'm going to do separate. So from mom, baggage from mom, baggage from dad, baggage from ancestors in this life, and baggage that you've brought forward from past lives, from your past lives. Deep breath. Let's do some confetti to celebrate how fabulous you are for having done that. Woo! You're a rock star. Okay, and then we will do the other half of the theme. Well, it's really the other half of the theme is for confidence, but I want to stick in courage as well. Okay, so you can have a bucket for baggage you took on from your mom that impacts your confidence and your courage. Baggage you took on from your dad that impacts your confidence and your courage. Baggage you took on from your genetic ancestors in this life that basically lessens your confidence and your courage. And baggage you took on, you brought in from your own past lives that is lowering your confidence and your courage. I say, angels, is it healthy and gentle to clear all this right now? You can notice if one bucket has a lot more baggage than another, just in case you're curious. And angels, Can you recycle any invasive beings that are courting any of this baggage? And then go ahead and just, maybe agreements. So if you have any unhealthy agreements that are blocking you from clearing this stuff out of your space, just imagine the agreements like pieces of paper and say, angels, help me clear these. And use gold light to clear the agreements because you do have free will. And clear agreements. Any are left over, the agreements have not cleared that are unhealthy, just wrap them up in gold light. Say, angels, can you help me with these? So then go ahead and melt the baggage. Any baggage from your mom, lessening your confidence and your courage, melt it away. Any baggage from your dad. Have some hot water. Please. Baggage from your dad, lessening your confidence and courage. Melt it away with gold light. Baggage from your genetic ancestors in this life, lessening your confidence and your courage, melt that away. And baggage from your own past lives that you brought forward into this life, lessening your confidence and your courage, melt that away. Alrighty. Butterflies to celebrate. You are so amazing. Woohoo! Woohoo! So fabulous. All right. Well, and if you are tired right now, check your grounding. Right? So just check your grounding, see if it's blocked up at all, melt the blocks. You can also clear STEBs, stands for stubborn triggered energy blocks. So it's just blocks that are triggered, and that could contribute to you being tired because it's like popping you out because the energy blocks are uncomfortable. So just stack all the energy blocks out in front of you that are triggered for any reason on any level for you. And bring up red earth energy, soak the blocks. Say, angels, is it healthy and gentle to clear all these right now? Angels, can you recycle any invasive beings hooked into this stuff? And then just keep using gold light and melt the blocks. Wash everybody out of them and melt them or blow them up. Alrighty. Good job, good job. Okie dokie. Let's have a change of scenery. A little corny, but I like this one. I know 1 or 2 people can't stand this, but I know other people like it. So if you can't stand it, you could put that in your service. It's temporary. I like it. It's very flowy and gold. And that blue is kind of cool, that cobalt blue. Alrighty. So, what's next? What's next is Clear Facades. Da, da, da. Okay, Clear Facades, which most directly helps you with your authenticity. So being yourself. But also helps your energy be more flowing and helps save a lot of energy, because all these hard, rigid things, any hard, rigid things in your space, like facades, you're putting a lot of energy into them to hold them up, and it's just too much after a while. It's just, so when you release them, usually it's like, oh. So let's do it. So facades, it's like a version of you that you want people to see, right? It's like a fake version or a curated version of you, right? Little billboard you have in the front of your aura, usually towards the outer part of your aura, because you want people to see that first, see your curated version of who you are. So go ahead and imagine yourself and all your auras, and here's the public at large, and just look for some facades, or just see them in your space, imagine them, whatever, in your space, these hard sort of billboard size things in your auras, towards the outer part. And you can first, I guess, just imagine one of them and just see, is it from this life or a past life, as you run gold light through it. Are there, and you can say, angels, if there are any invasive beings courting this facade, can you recycle them? It's just because hard, rigid things are easy for invasive people and invasive beings and invasive people to cord. So that's why you'd always double check and just clean them off. And then melt people's cords out of the facade. And you can just notice, like, what do you think the facade says? Like, just kind of intuit it. Does it say, I'm always honest, or I'm always diligent, I'm always responsible, whatever. And just use lots of gold light and just let it dissolve. And you can go ahead and, again, imagine yourself out in front of you and the public at large, or your coworkers or whoever. But don't do anything to them, but just maybe imagining them helps you see the facades that you have up better. And just imagine, one of them, or you can imagine a few at once if you feel like it. Just run gold light through them. Say, angels, can you recycle any invasive beings hooked into these? And melt cords from people going into them. And you can just, get a sense of what it says. What are these sort of perfect versions of yourself that you created at some point? And just use lots of gold light and let them melt away. Wash your energy out of them. Wash everybody else's energy out of them. So see how that feels now that you've cleared a couple of them? If you tend to feel subtle shifts, and you probably do feel something with that. Some people, they just have a better day tomorrow, or they just sleep better or something. So don't worry if you don't feel something immediately, if that's not your tendency. And go ahead and imagine the front of your auras, and imagine, let's say, a facade that comes to the front of your aura when you're meeting somebody new. And, if you're single and you date, and maybe if you're meeting somebody for a date, or, you know, if you're more interested in working your business relationships, you know, what facade comes to the forefront when you're dealing with coworkers or a new client or something. And just notice what it is. Just say, angels, can you recycle any invasive beings hooked into this? Melt the quartz from people. And melt the facade. In general, facades are going to make you more uncomfortable. And so then in turn, they're going to make the other person more uncomfortable, which is probably not what you intend. What about if you have a facade when you are dealing with, say, certain relatives? Because again, facades lower your boundaries with that person because they're rigid. And so your auras are less strong when a facade like that is triggered and upfront. So imagine what facades are you showing subconsciously when you interact on any level, even subconsciously, with family members. And you can just heal one of them with gold light or a whole bunch at once, whatever you feel like is healthy and gentle. And say, angels, you recycle any invasive beings plugged into these. And then melt quartz from people going into these facades. Yeah, just let these facades melt. Deep breath. How does that feel? Do you feel more in your bones and your joints, less so? How do you feel? Go ahead, unblock your grounding also. Block the chakras along your spine. Think of like somebody that you really would like to have better relations with. Could be a family member, neighbor, anybody. And just imagine them. Don't do anything to them, but just let yourself be aware of the facades that come forward in your auras when you are interacting with that person or even thinking of them on an energy level. And go ahead and melt those facades. So just run gold light through them. Say, angels, can you recycle any invasive beings hooked into these facades? And melt cords from people out of these facades. Melt your own energy out so that the facades can just dissolve and be gone. Deep breath. All right, good job, good job. Woohoo! All right, easy peasy. But obviously that's something you could work more later, you know, if you wish. Especially if you want to, if you feel like maybe your relationship with somebody isn't as good as it could be. That's a nice thing to check. Or your boundaries with somebody not as good as they could be. Mm. Okay, So we have done a similar technique before, but this time this technique is to help sleep. We'll be doing 3 techniques in a row to help sleep. And we have done before the chaos boundary wall, which is you imagine a gold flowy wall which represents your boundaries with the external world and any chaos or whatever going on in the world. And you just want the wall to be really strong but very, very flowing and gold. And that represents all the different aspects of your space that give you strong boundaries, like flowing, strong repaired auras, strong back of head stuff, unblocked and repaired chakras, creative rings, the whole thing. So you just simplify it and represent it as a gold flowy wall, and you just keep healing and repairing the gold flowy wall. And that like a simple visual way to repair all your boundary stuff all at once, right? So for sleep safety, you can do the same thing. Just have a sleep safety wall, gold and flowy. And imagine your sleep safety wall. That's a gold flowy wall. And if you have any trouble with your sleep safety, meaning sleeping soundly, sleeping and, without sleeping, being able to sleep, being able to go back to sleep, being able to have longer blocks of sleep. If there's any energy, any damage to your space, any external energies harming that, then you would see it in the sleep safety wall as, maybe big holes or gashes or something. And so just imagine your sleep safety wall and repair it with gold light. And you can bring up red earth energy and gold light and just repair your sleep safety wall. So it's just an easy metaphorical visualization to represent all the chakras and auras and meridians blah, 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 that help you with sleep. So go ahead, and if there are any big gaping holes in your sleep safety wall, by all means, use lots of gold light until they grow back. And you can say, angels, if there are any invasive beings in the way of this repair, can you recycle them? It could be hard objects sticking in your sleep safety wall, just pop them out. And then again, angels, if there are any invasive beings in the way of this repair, can you recycle them? And then just keep using gold light until the gashes get repaired fully. All right, so that's your sleep safety wall. Again, it's just a metaphorical representation of everything that helps you to have good sleep, safe sleep, like where you can sleep, without waking up, where you can sleep longer time periods and you don't wake up, and you can go back to sleep nicely and easily and all that good stuff. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is a different gold flowy wall for sleep peacefulness, which is similar but slightly different. This more has to do with like body dreams, whether you have dreams that, I don't know, people are trying to kill you or something in your sleep, but they're really not. It's a body dream. Like your body is clearing fear energy blocks and your mind is turning it into a story, but it's disturbing you. You end up coming back because your body gets so disturbed by it that then you come back. And so that's not very peaceful sleep, right? If you wake up with a dream that someone's trying to kill you, or whatever kind of dream it is, so fear-based dreams, nightmares, so a sleep peacefulness wall represents, you want it to be golden flowy, and it just represents all the chakras, meridians, auras that need to be, flowing and whole and working well so that you can sleep peacefully, right? And have just nice, restful sleep and nobody's trying to kill you and, there's nothing terribly wrong. It's just nice, peaceful sleep, restorative sleep. So your body can release fears, but without, turning into a really disruptive nightmare that wakes you up. So just peaceful sleep. Imagine if there's any defects in your sleep peacefulness wall, And just use gold light and melt those away. And if there's any invasive beings in the way of the repairs, the angels, can you recycle any invasive beings that are in the way of me repairing this wall, or any invasive beings that are messing with my sleep peacefulness? Can you recycle them? Do you want this to just be a big gold flowy wall? Look for any defects and melt them away. And you can say too, angels, can you please help my sleep peacefulness? Help me to sleep peacefully. Okay, so now the third thing is something that we've done many times before, which is the sleep slide. So, so the sleep slide, you can imagine it just like a slide. It technically goes from your creative rings up to the astral, and it's just the route that you take when you fall asleep, and your spirit goes onto the astral with your angels, hopefully always with your angels. And but that route, when you go out and when you come back in, some of your inner baggage can block up that path. And so in part, the sleep slide is a literal route, and in part, it's a metaphorical representation of any baggage that you have, maybe up here somewhere or in your seventh, that impacts your ability to just go out easily and come back and feel good when you come back, and bring in new positive change energy when you come back, rather than, some people, every time they wake up, they have a panic attack, or they wake up and, they feel bad, or they, think that they're going to fail today or something terrible, so you don't want that, right? So just imagine your sleep slide, this whole route from your creative rings up to the astral that you normally take with your angels, and just clean it off. Ideally it would be green and gold, according to what I'm hearing from the angels. And so just make it your favorite shade of green and gold, and just unblock it. You want to be able to come back in and bring all your good stuff in and go back out easily. So because like sometimes if you can't fall asleep, or can't fall back asleep, you have some blocks on your sleep slide. Oh, just imagine unblocking your sleep slide. And you could have some invasive beings on your sleep slide. They shouldn't be there, of course, but you can just say, angels, can you recycle any invasive beings messing with my sleep slide? And you can put a nice gold flowy force field around your sleep slide so that it's harder for anybody or any being to harm that pathway for you. All right, good job. Yay! So that was 3 things to help your sleep. We did the gold flowy wall to help your sleep safety, the gold flowy wall to help your sleep peacefulness, and then the sleep slide. Good job, good job, good job. Yeah. There we go. Good job. Good job, good job, good job. Alrighty. All right, let's do some kittens. Kitten background. How cute are they? All right. So we're going to wrap up the healing. This is the last little section we are going to do, as far as I know, in the healing. And then we'll take a little break, and then we'll do a post-healing chit-chat on energy healing topics. So in this wrap-up, we will clear STEBs, stubborn triggered energy blocks, and we'll unblock the legs and the biker shorts area. And then we will clear baggage in the way of you having fun and enjoying yourself. Okay. Let's clear fun baggage first. So make a big gold blanket out in front of you, pile onto it any baggage that's in the way of you enjoying yourself, enjoying your day, enjoying your morning, enjoying your evening, just enjoying your life, having fun, feeling playful, joyful, spontaneous, any kind of baggage in the way of you having fun. Make a giant pile of it out in front of you. Say, angels, is it healthy and gentle to clear all this right now? Deep breath while your angels edit the pile if necessary. Angels, can you recycle any invasive beings that are hooked into this stuff? And then you could do the rest. So just bring up red earth energy, soak the whole pile, gold light, melt cords from people going into the pile of baggage, gold, melt cords from you going into the baggage, melt everybody's energy out of all this fun baggage, and melt all the baggage fully. And we'll do that again quickly. Big gold blanket out in front of you, pile onto it any baggage that you have in the way of you having more fun in your today, tomorrow, this month, this year, in this lifetime. So it could be guilt, shame, could be whatever, like a sort of a manic energy or self-esteem stuff about, you never do anything right, whatever. Any self-judgment, any drama from other people, whatever. Anything that's in the way of you just having fun and lightening the heck up. And then just the angels, is it healthy and gentle to clear all this right now? Deep breath while your angels check. And then angels, can you recycle any invasive beings that are hooked up to this stuff? And then lots of gold light from your hands and melt cords going into the baggage from other people or from yourself. And use gold light and wash everybody out of all this fun baggage. Could be yourself, could be everybody else. Melt it all out so that you can melt all the baggage and or blow it up. All right, good job, good job, good job. So we can also do flowers, energy healing flowers for fun. So make energy healing flowers out of universal healing energy. They could be gold, they could be rainbow colors, or both. And just make as many healing flowers as you need. Tune them with gold light from your hands to just the right vibration to help nourish and nurture you so that it is more possible for you to enjoy yourself, enjoy your life, which can be, laughing, singing, and dancing, or it could be just having a little bit less stress, whatever helps you enjoy more, right? So energy healing gifts for yourself to help you enjoy more and have more fun and in your way. And say, angels, can you check these flowers? And then give them to yourself. Deep breath, let them go wherever you need them. One more time. Make as many energy healing flowers or presents in other shapes that you need for yourself to help you to nourish and strengthen and have more fun, lighten up. And use gold light from your hands to tune the flowers to just the right vibration. The angels, can you check my flowers? So they'll check them a little and change them if needed. And then give them to yourself. All right, good job. So now we will do STEBs. So big gold blanket out in front of you, pile onto it any stubborn triggered energy blocks. They're still triggered for any reason. Angels, is it healthy and gentle to clear all these right now? Angels, can you recycle any invasive beings hooked into this junk? And then just use lots of gold light and melt cords going into the blocks. Melt everybody's energy out of them, including your own, so that the blocks finally melt. You can do another batch real quickly, put the STEBs out there. Angels, can you recycle any beings hooked into them? And go ahead and melt it all. Okay, so then just unblock legs and your biker shorts area. So I will veer away from the kittens just momentarily to show my fabulous biker shorts graphic. Oops. Those are the meridians in the biker shorts area, along with Mr. Acupuncture's hair and genitals, which we don't have to think about, I guess. They're just so obvious in this image. But really what I wanted to show was this image instead. Let's see. There we go. Fabulous disco biker shorts. How delightful is that? Okay, so I wrap up clearer. So there's your biker shorts areas. And forgive yourself if you don't have an airbrushed perfect model butt like these people do. Well, they really don't. It's just airbrushed. It's a fake image. But anyway, so have a copy out in front of you of your actual biker shorts area and give it a nice healing and remind yourself that self-acceptance is strength. So I accept myself. You can give yourself self-accepting affirmations. I accept myself. I am stronger when I accept myself. Every day I accept myself more and more. Whatever you want. Heal your tummy area, your second chakra and your first chakra and your Kundalini chakra, which are all in that area. Unblock those. And we could do tummy. Oh yeah, we'll do him. So excuse the genitals. But you can just unblock the meridians right there in this area. The orange one near the midline is kidney. The midline one is conception vessel meridian. Purple one is, let's say, spleen. Maybe not. Yeah, I think it is spleen meridian. And then that day glow green one near the genitals, that's liver meridian. And then the regular green one, like grass green one that goes down and then over and down the thigh, that's stomach meridian. And then the little turquoise blue one that's zigzaggy around the hip is gallbladder meridian. Not that you need to know. It's kind of interesting. And you can unblock your auras, all your auras around your biker shorts area in front and in back. Just run gold light through. The angels can recycle any invasive beings in the way of this clearing. And just melt away the people from the blocks and melt the blocks. All right. Great job, great job, great job. Woohoo. Yay. Woohoo. So that's a healing. Okie doke. So the healing is done, and I'm going to take a quick restroom break, which you could do as well. And then I'll come back and turn the camera on, and I will do a moment of stretching, which, you know, maybe reminds you to do stretching if you want. And then I'll have a little post healing chit chat about energy healing topics. I'll look through your comments, see if I can reply to a couple of them. And if I don't get to your comment, if there's not enough time, you can just repost it under the video after this live stream is done. And at some point, I will post a reply to your video comment under your comment. So yeah. So I will get rid of the camera while I'm gone, so you're not staring at the chair. You can enjoy the kittens. The kittens. And I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I hope you had a good break. I'm going to do a moment of stretching, and then we'll do our chit chat. So don't feel the need to copy my stretching. You know, it's individual, whatever you need to do, or don't stretch at all. It's fine. Okay, I'm back. I hope you had a good break. I'm going to take a look at the chat comments and see what I missed. Someone says yes about their Ottawa, Canada weather. I suppose that 47 degrees Fahrenheit is typical for this time of year. What the yes meant. Then that was that question about invasive beings that I already read. And then that person says, oh, okay, makes sense. When I'm clearing people, I feel like I'm also feeling their invasive beings. So it's like layered. Is that okay? Yeah, that's pretty common. Sometimes it's one or the other or both. Yeah, it depends. I mean, but yeah, people tend to have invasive beings in their space. And so if you're dealing with them, you may be also dealing with their invasive beings. I talked about last healing, I had a teaching aside. You can find the chapters as teaching aside in the last healing I did. All the healings this month are in the same playlist, which is linked in the comment section. So in the 1 of 3 healing, I had a teaching aside where I talked about me as a healer, and that people I'm healing, their invasive beings come at me, like about a third to a half of them, something like that, often, because I'm a healer. And so the invasive beings don't want me to be as present as I am, or as present as I could be, because then the healing isn't as effective if I'm less present. And so then the person doesn't transform as much and get as present as they could. And then the invasive beings, get to have the free ride for longer. So when I'm dealing with clients, I'm very often dealing with their invasive beings as well. And many times much more than the actual person. Like, as far as boundary issues and preparation, that's why I have to prepare people. I have to buy the sets in advance so that I can prepare, basically get a bunch of their beings recycled that keep coming at me. So I have time to do that, like different waves of their invasive beings will come at me and I keep getting them recycled. And So then by the time the healing comes around, I can actually do the healing pretty well without, having as much interference. So if you're dealing with somebody just on a personal level and you're not like their healer or their teacher or their mentor, it would be less that their beings are coming at you, although there are some people that are intense who have a lot of that kind of beings in their space, and those beings in their space come at everybody that they talk to, or something. So it depends on the person, how much of their invasive beings you're handling, or if you're just handling their invasiveness, the actual person being invasive, or both. So I hope that makes sense. So that was just, yeah. I'm not going to make a chapter on it, but anyway, hope that makes sense. And yeah. And then you say LOL about something. Oh, wow, that helps a lot. Would you say you feel more invasive beings on people and humans now than before, like a few years ago? No. No, I don't think so. Not as a general rule, no. Someone says, "Hi Janet, did a long road trip with plenty of breaks. Oh, good. And my hips did great. But my arms, hands, and shoulders were worse for wear. I also was very fatigued, as was my 19-year-old. So must be that we both needed to work on our grounding." Yeah, that is part of it. I think too, clearing STEBs. I don't know that your daughter knows how to do that consciously, but maybe just a tricolor soak, if you had taught her that, or if you do teach her that, a tricolor earth energy soak. You could show her my funny 5 or 6 minute video on tricolor earth energy soak, where I have like all different colors hair and stuff. But yeah, some technique like that, unblocking grounding, plus, maybe a tricolor earth energy soak along the way would be good. Hands, arms, and shoulders. Yeah, I think it's just whatever was triggered was impairing the flow in the meridians that go through, and also your 4th chakra and your 5th chakra. I think like you were a little in her space and she was a little bit in your space. Like, a kid coming home from school, it's a bit of a buzzkill, I mean, not that she doesn't love you, but, being away at school is, very validating for somebody. And so you're coming home with her and you're like, oh, I'm exhausted from the road, and like, gee, I miss my daughter. So you're a little in her space. And then she's like, oh, this is kind of a buzzkill. I'm not with all my college friends anymore. So she's a little bit in your space. And so you guys were blocking each other up at the 4th and the 5th, and you had triggered energy blocks. So it was just like all these meridians right here just came to a standstill. Not entirely, but much more than usual. The auras were whole. They were just super blocked, the auras of those meridians. So I do have a playlist of just the meridians for the shoulders, because there's the 12 meridian playlist that is in the info section of really any of these live streams. But then I made a special playlist just singling out the meridians that go through your shoulders and your neck and your upper back, for this kind of an issue. When that's where your issue is, then you can just zero in on those meridians only with the playlist, maybe a little bit more easily. So I will link that. I mean, you can certainly find it by going to the playlist tab on my YouTube channel, but I think I can find it fairly easily. So I will link it in the chat. I think I probably call it shoulder, neck, and back meridians, something like that. There's a different playlist for knee meridians where I just pick out the meridians that go through the knees. Yeah, here we go. Shoulder, back, neck meridians. And yeah, so that has the governing vessel, urinary bladder, gallbladder, large intestine, small intestine, sanjiao, conception vessel, and stomach. So if you just like let the playlist play through, it's only like, it's less than a minute for each of those videos. So it's it's quicker than you would think to just let the whole playlist play and just kind of don't take it too seriously and just energy heal as you watch, that kind of idea. So let's see. Ooh, let me link it. There we go. So, and again, if you know, so the link's in the chat for that playlist of those meridians. Maybe you could do that a little more, because I think from your survey you said you still have some lingering discomfort in all those areas. So just check out that playlist if you don't mind, if you feel like it, and yeah, maybe that could streamline some of your work. And if you're feeling just like, okay, I can't be complicated, just do a lot of gold light area. You know, just get them all at once. Gold light, gold light, gold light, unblock, 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 you know, all around. Even 30 seconds of it's better than 0 seconds of it. Someone says today, oh wait, I want to make sure I'm seeing all the chat messages. Let's see. Make sure I saw them all. This is today was support that I must have cleared some static signs with my dad because I saw him today and he was so mellow and easygoing. How cool is that? I think you mean validation. Today was validation that I must have cleared some static signs, which is what we did for those that don't realize in the last healing, healing 1 of 3 days ago. So it's like facades are sort of hard things that stay there. And those are like fake sort of perfect images generally that you're showing the world of yourself, about yourself. But then the static messages are generally, the static messages are from people that you've had difficult relationships with. That's your message to them, or several layers of your messages to them. And they can be from like shit starter parts of you that were really stuck in bitterness or, you know, vengeful feelings or whatever. So they could be really, really negative messages. And so they're great to clear. And that's what we did in healing 1 of 3. So that's really neat. That helped you and your dad. Yeah, I think it did. That's neat. I think it did help him feel more comfortable around you. It says, wow, amazing how those things felt like aches, pain, fibromyalgia before clearing, but now it's clearer. There's so much more space everywhere. Yeah, good job. Great, good job, good job, good job. Someone says, can facades also be for negative views of yourself, i.e. I'm bad with finances? I thought I'd been seeing a lot of facades in my space like that. If it's a message to yourself, then I think that's probably just an energy block for yourself in your space. Like a lot of those would be in the 4th layer, or they could be in the 7th layer if it's affecting your identity. Like if you have an identity of being like, I'm an idiot, you know, and you really think you're an idiot, you know, you could have some big blocks in your 7th layer, like that on that identity level of like, I'm an idiot, you know, and it's just like you're stuck on that image of yourself, or, you know, like, oh, I'm weak, you know, maybe that's in your 4th layer, just this image of how weak you are, you know? And you can get really stuck on it, you know, because then you're not working out and getting stronger, even though that's really not that hard to do if you start small and keep doing it, you know. But yes, I would say those are just more big energy blocks you're stuck on. Facades are more just showing others. So perhaps, you know, if like, I think there are some women that play dumb because they think that's what they think that's less threatening to men, which, you know, whatever. I'm not advocating that at all. But, you know, maybe they'd be like, I'm stupid. I just need to be protected, you know, and then they would put that out, you know, as a facade. So that, you know, thinking that might please some guy they're trying to attract. Just an example I thought of, but you know, so that I guess that's a negative image of yourself that you show to people as a facade. But I think what you're talking about is just some baggage that you're stuck on that is big, because you can have big baggage, you know, like big fear baggage, big whatever baggage, and so maybe because it was so big and hard, you thought, oh, it's a facade, but technically, I wouldn't call it that. But you know, potato, potato. So good to clear either way. Someone says that was way more potent than all the other ones for some reason. I don't know which one was that. Oh, the facade clearing. Oh, good. Yeah, facade clearing rocks, especially if you've never done it before, like consciously in this lifetime. It's like, whoa. Yeah. Glad you liked it. Someone says, can the sleep safety wall protect me when I come back to my body so that I can safely wake up, become fully conscious? Is the sleep slide part of the sleep safety wall? Yeah, it's different. Two different things. So sleep safety wall. Yeah, so sleep safety is like a catch-all for like a lot of people. Like invasive beings can mess with people's sleep in different ways. You know, like people can feel like they're choking in their sleep, you know, or as they wake up, they can have a choking reflex. And generally that's beings, invasive beings, not people. Although if you have a friend who has those types of beings in their space and they cord you, then, you know, it's an easy little trip through the cord from the friend to you. And so it's not like the friend is sending you those beings. It's like a little roadway between her and you. So that is the only way it would be related to a person. But, you know, usually it's just an invasive being. So whether they're whacking their way into your space or they come through a cord from, say, a family member. So beings can mess with your sleep. Like some people have sleep paralysis, where they're like feel like they're paralyzed and they can't move. Those are generally invasive beings just making trouble. So you can clear those over time. Like sometimes when it's happening, it's like so much fear triggers that maybe you're not as smart at the moment, and so it's harder for you to clear it. But yeah, it's just some invasive beings playing stupid games. Invasive beings can just like whir up your mind a little too much, so your thoughts are very busy and it's hard for you to go to sleep again. Like for example, if you have some good karma window damage, and then because of that damage, some invasive beings can come in and affect your upper chakras, it can make you like spiral on thinking about one argument or one disagreement or what one person said over and over and over, like an absurdly long period of time. And it's really just because of the invasive beings that are just like in there, you know, churning up your mind rather than having it nice and calm and clear so that you can fall back asleep. So that's all what I would call sleep safety wall stuff. You can kind of just imagine or peacefulness, sleep peacefulness. Potato, potato. You can use both walls. Sleep safety and peacefulness, make it all one wall. That might be easier. Sleep safety, sleep peacefulness. So sleep peacefulness includes like having pleasant dreams. And if you have to clear any negative stuff, just clear it without, you know, having a big upsetting story that wakes you up. You know? So sleep safety and sleep peacefulness all as one flowing wall, and just, you know, look for damage and fix it up. But no, so sleep safety wall and sleep peacefulness walls, those are just visual representations that represent all the meridians and chakras and auras that that contribute to making you safe and a good sleeper, basically, and a good waker-upperer. Someone says, this theme has been really nice. Oh, good. My position is changing at work, so I've been processing that. I want to ask for a raise this week, and the healing is helping me feel more assertive about it. Nice timing. That's nice. Yeah. Yeah, you can also clear STEBs around that too. Like, you know, like, okay, imagine that you're asking for the raise and then look for what blocks trigger in the front of your auras and melt those blocks. So, and just keep imagining you're asking for the raise and look at what triggers in front and what triggers in your grounding, what blocks are in your grounding, and melt those. So keep unblocking your grounding, keep, you know, melting blocks that come to the front when you ask for a raise, you know, just like see the scenario over and over and just keep clearing and clearing. And then maybe, you know, nourish with energy healing flowers special to support and, you know, strengthen you and your presence as you do that. All right. Somebody says, thank you, Janet. I felt lighter after the generational baggage work. Yeah, clearing baggage from your ancestors in this lifetime, affecting the different themes. Felt a little sad today after spending time with extended family, but that mostly went away after the facades work. Very interesting. For my mind garden work, was I able to remove those doors from my sister? Yeah, you mentioned that in your survey. Looks like I got the ones from my brother, but the ones from your sister, and you put her initials, thank you, kept reappearing. Yeah, that's pretty fascinating. And I like how you did say that you you looked for agreements to clear, which is smart. Ooh, I know the agreements you missed. Haha. Agreements with your parents to look after and protect your siblings. Because you're the oldest. So a lot of times that's pretty common. So yeah, you cleared agreements that you had straight between you and your sister, but there are agreements that you have with your dad about protecting your siblings and sort of shepherding them through life, and same thing, agreements with your mother about protecting and shepherding your siblings. Yeah. And you can check, are any of those agreements actually healthy for you to keep? It doesn't look like they are, but double check, you know, if you want. Or just when you use gold light, you know, the unhealthy ones will melt away. Yeah, I think that's what it is. So if you clear those agreements with your parents regarding your siblings and you, then you can see if those little secret entryway doors into your mind from your sister stay gone. All right. Hope that helps. Interesting little question. Lost my place, so I gotta find it again. Someone says, hi, Janet. If I heal my dog, yes, which is fine to do, is it the same concept as how we heal another person? Yeah, but usually it's a lot easier. I'm worried about our elderly beagle's frequent episodes of pneumonia due to aspiration, regurgitation of food. Frequent episodes of pneumonia due to aspiration, regurgitation of food. My goodness. That gives them pneumonia. Wow. I haven't heard of that. I just know our dog used to vomit a lot, and we give him an antacid every day for it, in addition to the other medications he gets. And he's a beagle. He's an elderly beagle. But he was used in laboratory testing, so I don't know if, you know, there's no telling if their issues are similar at all. But episodes of pneumonia, that's wild. But yes, you can heal your dog. And sometimes with my dog, all I really do is I look to see if there are any invasive beings that are upsetting him or bothering him. Like making him restless, making him itch extra, you know, stuff like that. I just look for invasive beings because otherwise he's pretty like already like grounded and whatever, but it doesn't hurt to ground them and use gold light and bring up, you know, like an earth energy soak, red, orange, and yellow earth energy, stuff like that. I have a video, pretty old one, where I'm healing. I think I even have one where I'm healing a dog that we used to have, who's now you know, with us still in spirit form, but he Herbie, a little white dog that possibly my all-time favorite pet so far in this life, little Herbie. And then I was healing Zen in a different video, who's a cat that is now an angel and now in spirit form only with me. But she's a black and white tuxedo cat that was basically feral. I socialized her, but she was like halfway socialized to other people. But anyway, yeah, so you could search Janet Wright healing animals maybe. But definitely put Janet Wright so you get my stuff, and but you maybe find it. But the point of the video is just, you know, you kind of tune down the earth energy, I mean the gold light a little bit, you know, considering that their bodies are tinier, you know, and so you just kind of go easy on them, you know, like you might use a lot of, you know, like endless amounts of gold light on yourself, right? But when you heal, you know, a pet, you know, you just kind of, you know, make it a little smaller for them. The quantity of gold light, and use your intention to make sure that your hands are generating universal gold light when you're healing someone other than yourself, you know, so universal gold light, earth energy, you know. So hope that makes sense. But yeah, mostly what I do, I might do an earth energy soak with our dog, but mostly what I'll do is just, you know, every once in a while, if he's too restless, I'll just check for some invasive beings that are in his space that I'll ask the angels to recycle. Hope that helps. Someone says, "Hi, Janet. Can I check if you see if chords energy between, and you mentioned initials, are healthy or need clearing? What would you say you see more that would help? Please and thank you." It's funny because this person, not you, but the other person that you list their initials, they have these, they're kind of like facades, but it's more like invasive beings in their space that pretend to be them. And so I'll see like this larger than life figure, you know, just standing like this. But it's just a being, and the person is like normal size, you know, but the being's like really big, like, so it's just, I would call those personality beings. You know, those are invasive beings that like pretend to be the person. Like sometimes you'll have personality beings. I mean, a person may have personality beings that try to fool them, you know, themselves, or just fool other people. Like, it's unhealthy, but like a kid, say, that doesn't want to be in math class in school, they might have a personality being that sits in their body and makes them look like they're paying attention. Meanwhile, they're like hanging out on the astral, like totally gone, you know. Or somebody who hates their job, they may do that and have a personality being in their space, making it look like they're really attentive at a meeting, but they're just like doo-doo-doo, gone. But it's definitely not a good thing to do. You know, you don't want to hand off the keys of your body to anybody, any other being, any, you know, out of body being like that. But so anyway, it looks like there's a little bit of that going on with that person. But as far as, are you courting them or are they courting you? And for me, I don't think of cords as like that metaphorical thing of like, oh, if I cut this cord, then we'll never know each other again and we'll never be acquaintances in a different lifetime. It's not like a metaphorical, symbolic representation of, your relationship. It's just like a literal line of light, which, the stereotypically, the only time the chords like that are really positive is if it's a sexual partner and, you're flirting or you're actually having sex, at the time. And then it's obviously well, maybe not obviously, but can be very enjoyable, that experience. And then, afterwards the chords, diminish and then, maybe go away for a while. And, if you're a romantic partner, ideally you would not have chords with them all the time. It would just be when you're flirting and, having your time together. But otherwise, like say just your best friend or something, or, on a just standard Tuesday when your partner's at work and you're at work, chords aren't really helpful. And they can just block you up and slow down your growth. But it's all subconscious usually why people chord. But yeah, generally clearing chords is a good thing. Another like positive sense of chords is like if a parent of a child who's like 12 or younger, generally there's a first chakra chord there that reassures the child. But then when they grow up past, say, 12-ish, then they don't need it. And their first chakra works perfectly well on their own. And so it's better for the parent not to chord the child beyond that age. So then their first chakra is fully functioning. But those are the two sort of stereotypical times when chords are normal and healthy. But anyway, so the relationship in general, I think sometimes you just get distracted by the personality beings, which is understandable. You know what? I think what could help though, you get like a more authentic version of that person when they're around you is if you watch, I have these two or three videos. If you search YouTube for Janet Wright Park Bench Communication. So Janet Wright Park Bench Communication, like at a park sitting on a bench, that kind of idea. Because I give different examples in these 2 or 3 videos, maybe just 2 videos. But if you watch both of them, it talks about park bench communication versus small table communication. And small table communication, a lot of people who are more gifted and more visionary with their own energy field, they're that way with other people too. And they're very visionary. And so they see people very well while they're communicating with them. They're sort of like doing this, psychic vision of them. And that's very uncomfortable for a lot of people. They don't really like, it feels almost overly vulnerable. So park bench communication is when it's as if you guys are sitting on a park bench and you're just looking out at the lake and the ducks and enjoying something together, but it's a more diluted form of communication. And a lot of people are more comfortable with that park bench communication. So you watch the videos and get more information and everything, but I think that could help. So the videos would probably make it more clear what I'm talking about. Hope that helps. Someone says, thank you, Janet. I'm feeling pretty calm. Oh, good. During the healing, I kept thinking of work and my new role there. Yes, congratulations. I'm looking at my work path and noticed I have some fear baggage on trying to move forward or accepting my promotion. I think it's some childhood trauma blocks and my mom is standing in front of it to distract me from healing it. I need to also work on my confidence too. Thank you. Yeah, I think your mom and your sister are in your space about your promotion. It's not so much the promotion that they have an issue with. It's like they have this sort of family pecking order of who's successful and who's not successful. I have a lot in my genetic family. I mean, as most of you know, I have 0 conscious level contact with my genetic family ever since I was like 22, I want to say, for a couple months before my 23rd birthday, I think. I just was like, yeah, this is so unhealthy, so massively unhealthy. So I just cleared the agreements and the karma, and that was it. And I changed my phone number, and I FedExed them a letter overnight that was like, okay, this is it. If you need to reach me, you can mail me a letter, which then I never responded to any letter. But so my genetic family has a very clear hierarchy in their minds that, like, I'm supposed to be the screw up of the family. So it kind of hurts their brain that I've been financially sufficient like forever. And, I've been doing this for 25 years, and I enjoy my career, and I'm healthy, and, and I own my own house, and it kind of breaks their brain a lot, because I'm supposed to be the screw up. I'm supposed to be the freak, the dumb one, which is like really weird because it was never really hard for me to do particularly well in school, but for some reason that was the narrative of the family, that I was, slow, which is so psychotic, but whatever. So, but I think that's the case in your family. I mean, not in the exact same way, but they have this idea of you that you are a certain way. And so for you to evolve and, become a supervisor and earn more and, get over your resentments of certain people and, bring in more of your self-love and self-care and just enjoy life more, it kind of breaks their brain, which is not your problem, but they're in your space a little bit about it. So you can just sort of wash them out and melt away the energy blocks that they keep hoarding. There's that video. Remember that video? What was that called? Invasive People Room. And you imagine a room that represents, your space, but it's just like this simple room, and the floor represents all the energy blocks that allow those people to be in your space because they're courting the blocks. And then you just, so you imagine the room, and then you imagine the people that are in your space in this invasive people room, and then you just melt the floor, which is all the energy blocks they're courting, which allows them to be in your space. So then you just melt the floor, and once you melt the floor fully, then they all pop out of your space. That's kind of fun. You can do that more, maybe. But yeah, I don't think it's you that has a problem with the promotion at all. I think it's something that you've worked towards on the astral, and you're pretty determined and focused about it on a spirit level. So I hope that makes sense. And congratulations on your promotion. Someone says, is there baggages or certain areas that would be best to spend time on for me? And then you mentioned your initials. Thank you. Their baggage or certain areas that would be best for me to spend time on. Well, for context for others, you did not get this healing, as far as I know, because your YouTube ID seems new to me. So and you can email me if you want to say hi and say, oh, this is my YouTube ID. This is my real life first and last name. If you want, totally optional. My email address is. Anyone wants to email me, since the contact form on my website does not work, which I just discovered a few days ago. I have not had time to look into. I'm not looking forward to trying to fix that at all. Anyway, this is my email address. Janet@jwhealing.com. But anyway, okay, so back to the question. Oh, lost my place again. Oh, there we go. Good. Yeah, your lower 3 chakras have some damage on the left side. So on the left side, here, that'll be easier. So like this is, either your first, second, or third chakra. Like it's like your left side is blocked up and kind of broken, cracked there and in the back. And then some of your auras, in your biker shorts area, right in front, right here, you have some a lot of big holes right in some of your auras right there. So you can just do location specific aura repair. Just think of that area, think of the big hole there, and just you know, say, angels, can you recycle any invasive beings in the way of this repair? You know, say that a few times as you're working, and just use like gold fire, and you know, use it until it all repairs back up, and then repair those chakras, just with gold light and maybe some red earth energy. I would say that's the main thing. There's also a nice video you might like that your angels are suggesting. I have a short video playlist, which I always mention on my YouTube channel page. And there's a video there. It's pretty short, like less than 10 minutes. It says it's called Melt What Is Holding You Back. And that's nice. I think your angels like that one for you quite a bit. I like that too, for myself. And it's just like, it imagines you, you know, moving forward, and what's like holding you back, what burdens or whatever, and you keep melting them. So I hope that helps. Someone says, hi, Janet. Thank you for the healing. You're welcome. Hello, hello. Today has probably been the worst Mother's Day to date. Yes. I'm not a fan of holidays myself. Holidays, so much, you know, pressure and expectations, and usually invasiveness, and it's just a mess. Not a holiday person myself. I'm for enjoying every day to the extent possible. Let's see. Okay, I lost my spot. Okay. Today has probably been the worst Mother's Day to date. My son and my spouse were especially terrible. Anything I can work on to help with that? I'm sorry. The kitty on the left looks like mine. I love him. Oh, isn't that cute? Oh. Yeah, park bench communication, I think. Because you have a lot of pain that you're dealing with. I mean, physically with your health issues, but that triggers a lot of old past life pain you have about being abandoned, not being supported, you know, not being supported by family, not being supported by healers, medical people, you know, not being supported, just really feeling, you know, like grief and despair. A lot of deep, heavy stuff gets triggered with this, you know, chronic illness that you're dealing with. And which, you know, is understandable, of course. However, your husband is not really great with compassion, like period, across the board, and empathy. And then plus, since you have such deep grief and trauma triggered, it's kind of like, you know, people can see that. And so that makes him even less compassionate and less supportive than he already would be. And your son, I think, kind of, it's hard for him because he doesn't see an example of his dad being, you know, very compassionate and clearing his triggers to get over himself and his issues in order to be supportive of you. So how do you not trigger them as much and still go through what you're going through, and maybe go through what you're going through more easily, you know? And I would say try to melt the shittiest, crappiest stuff that you're triggered with, because, you know, you're going through so much, and it's a perfect proof of how life is not fair, right? Because if you have a chronic illness, then on top of that, it triggers despair and grief and trauma and abandonment energy from like 10 different past lives that you haven't released yet. That's not fair at all. That's awful, right? But that's the way shit works. So, given that that's the way shit works, just try to keep clearing the shit. Keep clearing the most awful, terrible shit ever. You know, you can make gold dumpsters and set it on fire, you know, or some way that's like somewhat enjoyable for you, you know, like pyrotechnic fireworks every time you destroy it, or just wrap it up in a gold laundry bag and hand it to your angels. You know, angels, here's the stuff that I can't handle that's triggered today. I just hand it to your angels, help them to, you know, they can help you clear it. So that's one thing, just so that you're less triggered by all the worst stuff that you still haven't cleared yet from any lifetime, you know. But then the second part of it is what I think could help you even more with your husband and your son is that whole park bench communication thing. Because if you do small table communication with somebody, they can see all your stuff more easily. And so you got all this death and despair and abandonment stuff triggered. And then you're like, hi, support me. And he's like, ah, screw you, go away. You know, so if you do park bench, then he can like kind of ease up to it and be like, oh yeah, let's hang out. You know, because it's like he can kind of not see it all and just look at what he can handle, you know, so it's easier for him, and he can be more interactive and less avoidant that way. So if you've forgotten the whole difference between park bench and small table park bench and small table communicating, you can watch those videos again. If you search Janet Wright park bench communication, you'll find them. There are 2 different videos, and you can watch both because they have different examples, but I think I talk about it, you know, watching both can be instructive. But anyway, I hope that helps. And I'm sorry that Mother's Day did not meet your expectations. I would advocate just screwing the holiday altogether, pretending it's not even there in the future. But it's up to you. But it puts so much pressure saying, okay, this one day is how people, you know, this is the day that people are going to show me that, you know, all my efforts are worth it. You know, just the chance of that blowing up is pretty high. You know, I don't know. You can think about it, but if I were a mom, I would not celebrate Mother's Day. That's for damn sure. But anyway, but I'm sorry you had a bad day, for sure. And speaking of kitties, maybe, you know, watch some cute animal videos or something. You know, watch something that's cute, just to take your mind off it. And, you know, when you watch cute animal videos, it gets your heart chakra flowing again, which is self-love. And, you know, it gives you that warm and fuzzy, comforted feeling. So, and what you could do too is, you know, that technique we did today too, is you heal little parts of you, like mini yous. So find the parts of you that feel the least supported and the least understood, and give those parts of you healings, you know, regularly, not just on a holiday. But I think it's a you know, it's a thing, you know. I think probably for any mother, maybe, you know, that's a thing where, you know, if you're working hard and everyone doesn't quite comprehend like the level of effort that you're putting in, and plus you have all your other stuff going on, it could feel like you're not being appreciated properly. And maybe it's literally true, but, you know, to make it easier on yourself, you could just heal those parts of you that are feel the most underappreciated or the most unloved. Yeah. And heal directly those parts of you. I hope that makes sense. Someone says, thank you, Jana. I love the self-love and acceptance part the most. Oh, good. I checked to see how my youngest was doing. After the part he was still on the sideline of his path, I reminded him to get back on it. Part of me is worried if he is happy and ready to accept himself and to show his true self to others too. Not yet. And I said it, and I own that I own that part of me, so I can clear it and love that phrase. I loved that phrase. Oh yeah. I should write that down so I put it in the summary. What is that? Own it and heal it. If you own it, you can heal it. That's right. So is your youngest still on the side of his path? He kind of like skates forward. He zigzags forward. I don't see him as only on the side of his path. I think if you just look at that one issue where, you're most concerned about him with, yeah, he's on the side of his path. But I think in general, he kind of skates forward. I think the clearing facades work helped. Because, he's trying so hard to pretend to be something he's not that it gets kind of confusing for him. So I think that helped. I think part of it's age related. Like, I think that in his past lives, his recent past lives, he tends to have more confusion and more insecurity in younger years, and then he kind of works it out. He's like a little bit of a late bloomer in the last couple lifetimes. So I think, the angels are like, don't count him out. He can get his act together. It just might take a little time. They just keep showing me that phrase, he's a late bloomer. Like, give him time. But, he can tell that you're in his corner and that you accept him. And it's just a lot to process. So, but overall, he's moving forward. It's just a zigzaggy way forward. I hope that helps. But the own it, blah, blah, blah. I'll also talk to him consciously. Yeah. Someone says, thanks, Janet. I was super cranky before the healing. Was I getting whacked by? And you put their initials. I don't think it was her. Let me see if anyone else on your list was the one. I don't think so. I think it was somebody else. Yeah, no, it was nobody that I'm healing. Your spouse's other ex, the one that has one child with him, she wasn't whacking you, but she was in your space a lot. I guess it's the whole Mother's Day thing. I don't know what she wanted from you. I think she was blaming you that she wasn't getting validated enough from your husband because she has a child with your husband. And so she wanted to be more acknowledged on a spirit level by him. And you were just like, focus, dude, you're married to me right now. And so she was like, out of my way. I'm a mother. It's Mother's Day. Screw you. Today of all days, so I think she was kind of pushy with you. I don't think she literally whacked your auras, but she was like smacking you around a little. She was kind of pushing you around. But the other one that had a bunch of kids with him, she snarled at you a bunch, but I don't think she whacked you. She said some negative telepathy towards you. You know what? You can redo that. I don't know if you ever did it in your own meditations, the technique that we did 3 days ago in the first healing. The melt static messages. you know, messages that are just kind of stuck there in your aura every time you talk to that person or interact with them. But that would be great to do with your husband's 2 ex-wives. Or ex-partners. I don't know if they were both married, but whatever. Because you have a bunch of negative messages still up in your space between you and each of them. And that could help your boundaries with them. That could be nice. Who was actually whacking you? I think the kid that the one woman had, just that the one woman that just had the one kid, that kid who's a teenager now, she whacked you. Yeah, I think they wanted your husband to be very validating of the both of them today. And I guess he wasn't enough. And so you got the blame. Because I think you were kind of like growling, like, stay away from him. We're having a day. It's not your day. Go away. And so they were like, whack, whack, whack. So, fun times. Love and holidays. Holidays are so fantastic. How did your spouse do? Yeah, well, he had a busy day with all those triggered women and children. He has been a little triggered lately. How did... And you're mentioning 2 of... Yeah. The first one did fine. The second one, the mom of all those kids, she did okay. It's just, you know, today's a very triggering day for mothers a lot of times. So it definitely helped them a lot more than having no healing today. That's for damn sure. And you say, how did new person do? She did well. She loved it. Yeah. The image she shows me is it's like it was like a massage for her soul. She's like, she was very into it. So yeah, she liked it. Hope that helps. Someone says, do animals, trees, plants, and inanimate objects have invasive beings? How about them compared to humans? Well, animals, because I mentioned my dog. Yeah, animals can have invasive beings. Trees and plants, no. They would not. Typically. I mean, there are plant spirits, tree spirits, plant spirits, but those are not invasive beings. They're just like they're kind of like cousins of little fairies, and they just, you know, hang out with the plants and help them grow and help them be safe and stuff. So, but they don't have invasive beings. Inanimate objects could have invasive beings. But only if someone put them there. Invasive beings wouldn't necessarily... Like, for example, a location could have... Like, if I'm going into a public restroom, most of the time I'll ask my angels on the way in, you know, angels, can you clean this place out? You know, just quick like that. Angels, can you clean this place out? And then as I'm walking in. Because a lot of people will leave some invasive beings, you know, behind after they leave the bathroom. Not on purpose. They're not thinking about it, you know. But so locations can have invasive beings. An object... I mean, you know, there could be an object that was owned by a person who's now a ghost. So he could, or a location, like if someone is a ghost, they didn't cross over properly yet, and you move into their house, for example, and they haven't crossed over, they generally don't understand that they are a ghost. They don't know what that is, and they think they're still alive, and they just don't know why no one can hear them and why someone moved into their house. So then they could be kind of in your face about it, like, excuse me, you're in my house, you know, and they could be kind of mad about that, you know. But you can help them cross over, and then they're not bothered anymore. They're happy in heaven and stuff. So hope that kind of answers your question. If you ever want to help ghost crossover, it's fun and easy. Just you could search Janet Wright help ghosts crossover. And there's at least one live stream where I do it, probably a couple where it's in the title, help ghosts crossover or help ghosts, something like that. But anyway, so humans tend to have a lot more invasive beings than say a dog or something. Because dogs just have that natural simplicity, you know, dogs and cats. I mean, unless they've been through a lot of trauma, but I mean, my dog is a laboratory survivor. Probably initially he had a bunch of invasive beings in his space more than now because, you know, he was under so much stress for so long in the lab that kind of trauma can attract invasive energies. But just naturally, and like a squirrel outside wouldn't have invasive beings in their space. They might have fleas, but they won't have invasive beings in their space. Someone says, "Hey Janet, thank you for the healing. You're welcome. Is there anything my angels would like me to focus on specifically right now?" My cat is almost on the keyboard right now. I'm gonna expand myself. Hope you don't mind. I don't mean to demote the kittens, but at least my kitten moved. Good enough. Okay. Thank you for the healing. Is there anything my angels would like me to focus on specifically right now? They talk a lot about letting go. Like journaling, thinking about what you can let go of, what from past lives and from this life. And you don't have to know exactly what it is. You can just imagine an object representing something you need to let go of, and then just, you know, run gold light through it and let it dissolve, or give it to your angels and say, "Angels, can you help me with this?" They just say it's a good time for you to let go of old burdens. That video that I mentioned, the one about melt what is holding you back, that could be nice too for that. In my short video playlist, there's a video, pretty short, called Melt What Is Holding You Back. So they like that for you too. Man, lots of comments. Someone says, "Hi, thanks for the healing. I may have a few personality beings. Is there any special or different techniques to remove them?" And you mentioned your initials. Thank you. Yeah, I think you do have a couple. I think clear the agreements that you have with them, and then it should be much easier. You know, you can ask the angels to recycle them once you've cleared the agreements. So just a 2-step process. Clear the agreements with the personality beings, and then have your angels clear the beings. And also try it on multiple days, because you may need to clear and heal and sleep and eat and just live for a little, and then there'll be more that you notice that you can clear. So if you try it on like 3 different times, you know, spread out, then, you know, with at least, you know, a day in between at least, or 2 days in between, then, you know, you could get a whole bunch that way. But yeah, so that's the only thing. Just that clear the agreement as well. Someone says, "Hi, I'm just watching." And you mentioned your initials. Thank you. "Hi there, Janet. Can you please tell me about," and you mentioned a person's initials, "what kind of energy this person is around me, if at all, and what I can do about it?" What kind of energy this person is around me? Well, it looks like that person chords you at the grounding and also fourth chakra here. So when you're not around them, you could just imagine you and them in a really simple representation, and don't do anything to them, but just, look at the energy cord between, at the going into your chest, and melt that with gold light, and look at the like 2 or 3 energy cords that they're sending to energy blocks that you have in your grounding, and then just melt those energy blocks in your grounding that person is cording, and just keep melting different energy blocks in your space. I mean, basically, if someone's invasive, I mean, unless they're actually whacking you, which it doesn't look like, it looks like they just cord and kind of like, it's kind of like if a person's sitting a little too close to you, they don't have, I think it's not just you. I think in general, this person doesn't understand boundaries really well. And so they tend to like be a little too close to a lot of people that they interact with on a boundaries level. And so I guess just, melt the energy blocks in your heart chakra that allow them to cord you, and melt the blocks in your grounding that allow them to cord your grounding. And just like imagine, I call it indie grounding, where you just imagine your grounding, make it really wide all the way down, and just melt away cords from people going into your grounding, from anybody, including that person, and then melt the energy blocks in your grounding too, so you have a good release. I would say that's the main thing. But again, if it helps to know that that person does that with a lot of people, it's not just you. And I don't think they realize at all what they're doing. So it's not like they have conscious malevolent intention about it that I can see. I think they just had one of their parents did that with them all the time when they were growing up. So they just learned it as a communication technique, unfortunately. So hope that helps. Someone says, thanks so much, Janet. Excited to keep working the sleep safety wall. It seems like I'm learning about work boundaries with that person, but not feeling like continuing. Seems like that's okay with my angels. Am I reading that right? Learning about work boundaries with this person, but not feeling like continuing. I think you mean like it's a client and you're not sure that you want to keep working with them, and is that okay? So you can just look at the check boxes, and have you learned everything that you need to, that you really would be ideal for you to learn in that client practitioner relationship, or colleague relationship, or whatever, and just see. It looks like there's some check boxes left. But you can talk to your angels about that. But I think that's what you're asking. I think, sometimes your angels say that you can, like, sometimes they're like, you're kind of hard to predict. Sometimes you'll keep unhealthy business relationships for a very long time, and other times, as soon as it gets unhealthy, you're like, oh, I'm done with that person. And sometimes they're like, look at the check boxes, because sometimes, it can evolve and, have a more gentle end, as you finish learning what you're meant to learn, and then they finish learning what they're meant to learn. So, because you tend to have very abrupt, sort of shocking ends, that end up, you get a lot of blowback from that. So if you let that person work with their angels for time on the astral, like give their angels a heads up, I'm thinking of changing this relationship, and, and make sure and finish your check boxes. And so it's kind of like you land the plane, as opposed to like, boop, you come in for a more gentle landing as far as like transitioning the relationship. Hope that makes sense. Someone says, starting to get a headache on my left front side of head. Yes. Feels like sister, even though she just got this healing. Looks like physical area physical aura, and urinary bladder weight chi aura. Did I read that right? Well, gallbladder is an obvious one because it's right the side of the head. So that's the first one I checked. It looks like that one is partially whacked and ripped up there. Urinary bladder one, yeah, a little bit, yeah, more like a little bit towards the back left, not the side. Side left, there's some gallbladder damage. Back left, there's urinary bladder meridian damage. Physical aura, yeah, that's all damage right there. And then astral body aura seems fine there. Sanjiao seems fine. I don't remember all the other shoulder meridians. Large intestine, small intestine seem fine. So yeah, I would just say urinary bladder, gallbladder, and physical auras are ripped up right there. Yeah, maybe do some conflict resolution flowers with her, like make the flowers and explain to her this shift and that, you know, that was an agreement that you made with, you know, your parents when, you know, when she was born and you've outgrown it and she's outgrown it, and just, you know, make those flowers explaining and set them to a healing vibration for her and give them to the angels and say, angels, can you give these to my sister if they'll help? You know, maybe do that for like 3 days just so she can transition out of that, because your mom tends to train people into dependency. And so she's kind of trained your sister to be dependent on you and trained you to be dependent on her and, you know, all that messiness. So maybe just some conflict resolution flowers for a few days would help her process and change, because she doesn't want to be dependent either. This is a bit unrelated, but curious if having a lack of motivation to clean, having an unkempt space creates an environment for more beings to be in your living space, or if it's the other way around. Yes, that can. I mean, it depends, you know. It's like, say if you have clothing on the floor that you didn't put away, or you know, it depends. Yeah, but yeah, you can have you can have invasive beings in like piles of things that you haven't organized and stuff, or dirty clothes that you haven't, you know, put away and washed and whatever. But not always. Sometimes it's just your inner baggage, like, you know, you're resisting your mother in your space, you know, wanting you to be neat and tidy or something. But yeah, you can always just, you know, the angels, can you, if there are any invasive beings in that big pile of laundry, can you recycle them? Funny. All right. Someone says, all right, so this has got to be, oh my gosh. Okay, so there are only 2 people. I'm going to read their comments and then that's it, even if other people post. Okay, thank you, Janet. You were reading for me and my daughter. What you said rings accurate. I will apply those videos. Lastly, is it okay I can ask about her relationship with... Yeah, it's a bit much. You can maybe post it under a video or something, but I'm like turning into a pumpkin. Yeah, I'm a little too fried because I just healed 130 people for 3 hours. Well, for the healing was probably an hour and a half. But yeah, I don't want to read anymore, basically. So sorry about that. This is, yes, that's what I was asking. And yes, a fair number of abrupt endings. Yeah. Yeah, abrupt endings get you into trouble. And plus you're kind of skipping the final parts of your learning and the final parts of helping people make their transition, because that's a part of your skill as a practitioner, is to help people transition. You know, if you're no longer going to work with them anymore, it's a good skill to have. And, you know, so you can work with your angels on how best to do that with people. Because you tend to be like, rip off all the band-aids at once and expect people to just be fine with that or something, or just be like, well, it's not my problem. And it's not, you know, I mean, because, you know, transference happens and all that. And so really you're their mother in their brain, you know, and all that. So there's a they're, you know, spiritually, you can, you know, inform their angels and let them start to take angel classes about it, and, you know, so that they're more ready and they can clear their baggage in advance, you know, and that things can sort of more naturally transition. The angels can help them to start thinking of what's next, even before you say anything out loud, yeah, that kind of stuff. So gentle transitions is something that you could get good at, and then that could be a real help to you as a practitioner, and, you know, good karma. And then you could teach other people how to do it too. That'd be cool. All right. Seeing the unchecked boxes. Yeah. Those were cool. Thanks for the healing, Janet. You are welcome. Okie doke. So let's see. We'll do a moving background as we are. So no more kittens. Let's go to some waves. How about that? All right, guys, you are amazing, and I hope that whatever is next for you is fabulous. And yeah, the next healing is in 3 days, the final healing of the set on Wednesday. Oh, and also, there's no post-healing chat on Wednesday. You know, so after the healing on Wednesday, I'll just be done. Because I have to finish, on Wednesday, I have to finish 2.5 hours. 3 hours. I have to finish 3 hours earlier than I did today. Because my husband live streams on Wednesdays in the evening. So I have to, so I will start earlier and be much more streamlined, and there'll be no chat afterwards on Wednesday, which is true every month on Wednesday. So just for that third triplet healing. Okay, you guys, you are so fabulous. And yeah, take care. See you in 3 days.